unlimited. He refuses to believe queer theory destabilizes normativity, gender binary, and the nuclear family. James blocks the truth, smears people who try to show him, creates an echo chamber for himself to reinforce his fantasy. He used to believe in something, what happened? Mills for liberty. Gnostic sex cult, building his own world. A Gnostic sex cult, unhinged from reality, totally lost in. What can we do but mock him relentlessly? It's not a Gnostic sex cult, James. No, it's not. Stop lying to your audience. No, it's not. It's not a Gnostic change. Mary Nardini tells us queer liberation means the annihilation of capitalism. Catch up, James. Wignats means capitalism. Queer theory hates capitalism. Wignats means capitalism. Queer theory hates capitalism. Wignats means capitalism. It's all about capitalism. Everyone knows it's capitalism. The socialist knows it's capitalism. Wake up, James. It's capitalism. Whoa. The socialists know it's capitalism. Wake up, James. It's capitalism. It's all about capitalism. Everyone knows it's capitalism. The socialists know it's capitalism. Wake up, James. It's capitalism. It's capitalism. To pocket all that money from the mills for liberty. The left hates capitalism, but James won't admit it. He refuses to believe queer theory stabilizes normativity, gender binary, and the nuclear family. But James blocks the truth, smears people who try to show him, creates an echo chamber for himself to reinforce his fantasy. Is to believe in something. What happens for liberty? Gnostic sex cult, building his own world. Gnostic sex cult, unhinged from reality. He's totally lost it. What can we do but mock him relentlessly?
Well, it's a little bit earlier than usual because I was sitting here and I was bored. And because I had the stream coming up, I was like, I'm not going to start another project because then I'm going to have to stop the other project to do the stream. So I was like, you know what? F it. F it. We're just going to go live. We're going to do a casual on Friday. Casual on Friday. Yeah. Casual finally on time. Yeah. Finally. I am never late. You're all early. You're all just early. So yeah, we're going to do a little bit more of a casual Friday today where I'm going to talk about a variety of topics and, you know, maybe we're just never going to stream about socialism again. That is actually an option that is on the table right now for me. It really is. That is an option that is on the table right now for me that I'm seriously thinking about. I'm seriously thinking about like what like do I even continue to stream this stuff because it really does seem like just like there's just not the interest in it, there's not the will in it. And people want to be lied to, and they just want people to coddle them, and they just like, and so like and I'll talk a little bit more about this on the stream, but I really am like having a little bit of an existential crisis about, do I even continue this? Do I even continue to stream? Like, I'm going to keep writing about socialism, obviously. I'm not going to stop writing about it, but it's just like, do I continue to actually do the streams about the far left? Do I continue? Because it really does seem like the majority of people just don't want it. They just don't want it. They would prefer to be lied to. They would prefer to either not know at all, or they would prefer to be lied to. That is the resounding feedback that I got to the little impromptu I'm seriously thinking about quitting stream yesterday, is that the vast majority of people, the vast majority of the feedback that I got yesterday was that people do not care. They are not interested. They either don't want to know what's going on because it's too hard, or they literally want to be lied to. That is the vast majority of the feedback that I got yesterday, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And, well, no, this isn't going to happen. It's too much work. It's too much work. Too much. Do you want to make the clips? Do you want to do all the stuff with the clips? Do you want to donate your time to do that? Because I don't have any more time. I have no more time. I have no more hours in my day. I am already overbooked to a pretty high fucking degree. I have no more time in which I can expend energy. And that's part of this too. It's like when I stream 2 to 3 hours, 4 hours a day. And so when people just keep saying, oh, just do more, Carlin, just do more, just do more. Where do you want me to do more? When do you want me to do more? How much more do you want me to work for you for free until you show up and pay attention? How much more is going to be required? How little sleep do you want me to get? Because I'm already not getting that much sleep. I already don't have a fucking life. So I'm like having a little bit of an existential crisis right now of if I continue with the streaming stuff. And so I'm not doing a serious stream today. What we're going to do is I'm going to drink. I have a lot of beer. I'm going to drink and I'm going to talk. And if people want to come and hang out, they can. And if people don't want to come and hang out, they don't have to. But the thing of it is again, it's like, yeah. See, this was the problem. I missed yesterday's stream as I've gotten back on YouTube from a short vacation. Hey, welcome back, Nathaniel. The amount of people saying just be like conservative influencers was astounding. Yeah. See, that's part of the problem. And I got a ton of comments saying the same thing. Why don't you just be like conservative influencers? Why don't you just be like conservative influencers? Why don't you just be... And I was just like, I blocked every single person that said that. I literally just blocked them. I'm like, no. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Will I ever be like conservative influencers? Absolutely fucking not. And that was honestly one of the most just bizarre things about the whole thing to me. Is I was like, and seriously, in some of these comments, Carlin, I've been following you for years and I'm a big fan of your work, but I just don't know why you can't be more like conservative influencers. And I was like, you claim you've been following me for years. You claim you're a big fan of what I'm doing. And so you want me to stop doing that to lie to you and do clickbait outrage content for money to make you feel better. That's what we're talking about. Overwhelming amount of comments to that effect. I blocked every single person that did it. Like, I literally never, ever want to hear from you again. No, this is not going to happen. Do you understand how much money it costs to do this? Do you understand that Laura Loomer has an entire team of people around her? Do you understand that I work by myself? How exactly do you want me to do this? Do you want to volunteer your time to produce it? Do you want to volunteer your money? Do you want to pay for it? I will look forward to the 5-figure check from you if you want me to produce this content. And that's just for like a month. That's just getting started. That's just like a little drop in the bucket. That's what it was required to produce this content. So no, I'm not going to do that. Absolutely not. And I don't want to do that. I also don't want to do that. It's just fucking cheap. It's cheap. It's not real. It doesn't even make sense to do it. See, this is the type of bullshit. Like, Tom, I should really block you for even making this comment. Honest to God. I should really block you just for making this comment. Like, This is the overwhelming feedback. Why don't you just be like conservative influencers? Why don't you just own the libs, Carlin? Why don't you just own the libs for us? Can you please just own the libs for us? Can you please spoon feed us outrage content so we can feed our outrage addiction? Can you please just be like our favorite conservative influencers, except, you know, a little bit different, but like pretty much just like our conservative influencers? Fuck you. This is why the right will always and perpetually lose. This right here. This right here. They love their clickbait content. They love their owning the libs. So now my YouTube channel is shadow banned again. So that's pretty great. I can see that just by looking at the stats. The stats on my YouTube channel have been off all week. So something happened. Something happened to the algorithm. Yeah, I would rather not do anything and completely give up streaming entirely than be like conservative influencers. Every day of the week. Every day of the week, and it's not even funny. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. I've got a couple things pulled up that we're going to do. I actually want to respond to a comment that someone made on the video yesterday that I've got pulled up. And it was actually a good faith comment. I'm not trying to shit on this person too much. It was a relatively good faith comment. We're going to respond to that. And then, so we're going to do some other stuff too. And then we're going to talk about the Wignats. We're going to talk about the Wignats again because there was a really surprising BigTech redemption arc yesterday that I truly and sincerely did not see coming. I did not see the BigTech redemption arc coming. And I want to show you guys what it is, but also there's also stuff that the Wignats said in this that I want to address and I want to respond to. So we're going to kind of kill two birds with one stone on that. And then, you know, I thought that we would just, you know, go and maybe listen to a little bit more of this queer Gnostic sex cult video from James Lindsay because we only got 40 minutes into a 3-hour and 40-minute video. And it was just so hilarious. And it was kind of like when we first started watching Socialism and I was like, this is just insane. Like, this is insane. James is saying the most insane things. What is he going to say that's more insane next? And I was like, you know what? There's still a good 3 hours of content in this video. And I was like, you know what? Maybe it's even going to get worse. Maybe we haven't even reached the peak of insanity in this video yet. Who knows? So maybe we should just watch it. And we can do some other stuff too. If people have suggestions of things you want me to watch. This is Fuck Off Friday or Fuck Around Friday. Well, I don't even know what I named the stream exactly. We're doing a casual stream today. I'm going to drink beer and we're going to do stuff. And that's going to be it. The same disposition that makes Carlin so good at analyzing the far left is the same disposition that doesn't impact well into mainstream conservative media. It's a vicious catch-22. Can't have them both. It just doesn't math. Well, I mean, the thing of it is like, again, this is one of those things where then conservatives can lose. Then they can lose. And I will laugh and I will cheer and I will eat popcorn as I watch them and their children suffer in the future Marxist utopia. And I'm going to be like, I told you, assholes. I tried to tell you this was going to happen over and over and over again. I tried to show you what they were saying. I tried to show you what they were doing. But you just wanted to be entertained. And you just wanted to be told everything you wanted to hear. And you said, Carlin, you're just too mean for me to listen to. You're just too mean. You're so mean to conservatives. Literally, people are saying this yesterday. You're just so mean to conservatives. Well, you know, do you really think that the far left is going to be nicer? Do you really think that the far left is going to give you a cookie and pat you on the head as they send you off to the salt mine? Yeah. And I'd like to have more of a conversation with you guys today, too. I mean, the reason is because people are so low intelligence lately. People are more fixated in reading into the internet and getting famous rather than fixing problems. That's exactly right, Nathaniel. That is exactly right. Yep. You know what's actually mean, conservatives? Socialists taking away everything. That's what's actually mean. But no, I have a tone on the internet and I'm a woman and that's just not allowed. They would prefer to live in ignorance than to interact with a mean woman that's telling them the truth. I mean, this is just like, it's like that meme in action, right? It's like, you know, the long line of people to be told convenient lies rather than the short line of people that want to be told like inconvenient truths. You know, I've done everything I can do. I can't do no more. And so we're just going to have a fuck off Friday stream, and that's what it's going to be. And I don't know. That's what we're going to do. So I have some exciting beer-related news. Hang on. Now, I did get 4 craft beers from the craft beer store, and they are chilling in my fridge. But as I was going to check out at the craft beer store, they had a display of beers sitting on the counter. And this may look like a mass-produced beer, and it is. But Shock Top Twisted Pretzel only comes out once a year in a very limited quantity for a very short time. And trust me when I tell you, this is one of the mass-produced beers that you do not want to miss. It is so good. It is so good. Do you guys know how, like, I wait all year for Sam Adams Oktoberfest? I love Sam Adams Oktoberfest. It is an amazing beer. And you can get it out right now if you want to. You can get it pretty much everywhere. I think you can get Shock Top everywhere too. Shock Top is pretty ubiquitous. But the Twisted Pretzel one is usually a little bit harder to find because they make it in smaller quantities. You might have to go to a craft beer store for it, all that stuff. But this beer is amazing. And so I was so excited to see it at the craft beer store. I think it's a twist. Oh, it's not a twist off. Good thing I have a bottle opener. Look at that. Good thing I have a bottle opener. I'm putting it in a wine glass. I was drinking out of this glass yesterday, but it's still good. It's still a perfectly fine glass. We're not going to drink out of the bottle like heathens. We're going to drink out of a wine glass. Yes. It really does taste like a pretzel. It tastes salty. Cheers, everyone. Oh my God. It smells like a pretzel. It smells so good. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Oh, it's not quite chilled yet. It had to be warm, but I've got some more chilling, but I don't even care. If you see this beer out, you buy a 6-pack of it and you enjoy it because it is seriously one of the most amazing beers. Yes, I did need that. I did. You know what? It's 5 o'clock. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. That's all right. It's okay to get drunk. It's fuck off Friday. It is fuck off Friday. The beer tastes like the future tears of it tastes salty like the future tears of conservatives when they find out that owning the libs didn't stop them from losing their rights. Ain't that the truth? You know, Mark Robinson, who is the black guy that's running for governor of North Carolina, that got himself in trouble because apparently there were posts on the internet where he's calling himself a black Nazi and all sorts of crazy shit. Mark Robinson is basically in the position that he's in. I don't know if you guys understand this. He is in the position that he's in because he went viral on the internet for owning the libs. The entire qualification that Mark Robinson had to be the lieutenant governor of North Carolina is he went viral on the internet for owning the libs. That was what got him into that position. And now he's running for governor of North Carolina, and he has all this crazy stuff that they never vetted, like posts about talking about being a black Nazi and all this stuff, which, I mean, I wouldn't probably be so judgmental of if he wasn't actually running in a very important election. And then all of this stuff comes out, and conservatives are completely confused about how their candidate that was only selected because he was owning the libs, they're confused about how that didn't work out for them. And I'm like, bro. I can't. So I want to start our stream today with a response to one of the comments that I got on my stream yesterday where I'm like, I'm quitting. I'm quitting. And again, guys, this is actually a very serious question in my head right now. Did that just fuck up my comment? Oh, shit. Hang on. Bring me back my comments. I really don't know what I'm going to do about this streaming thing. I really don't. I'm really like, if people don't want me to be streaming socialism content, if they don't want that type of learning experience, then I can take those hours in the day back. I really just can, and I can use them for other things. And it's like, yeah, but he's owning the libs, Carl, and he and Laura Loomer are obviously the future of conservative movement. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Edwin, it's good to see you. Reporting here from North Carolina, every elected Republican in North Carolina is pretending he doesn't exist and avoiding him like Ebola. Yeah. And he's the candidate for governor. North Carolina's going to have a Democrat governor because conservatives just had to own the libs. So stupid. But I wanted to respond to this comment on the stream from yesterday because I do actually think this comment was made in good faith, and I think it brings up some good points. And I want to use this to illustrate the problem that we have. And so I'm not meaning to shit on this person because I don't know who this person is. So I don't mean this as any sort of like slight towards them at all. But I'm going to read the content. The comment. I'm going to respond to it. Says, I'm new to your work. I obviously can't speak for anyone else, but I'll share a personal take, bearing in mind I'm only halfway through the video thus far. I usually wake up not long before you finish your stream, so watching them live usually isn't an option. I'm on the east coast of Australia. Hey, I appreciate that. Finding your content was a bit of a mindfuck. It's been a lot to take in. I find myself at times quite ravenous to devour it and learn as much as possible, and then at other times I feel quite compelled to take a break. I want truth and I want peace, and they're often mutually exclusive, so I can vacillate between obsessed and checked out. And I mean, that's actually quite common. Listen, the content that I cover with the far left, it's not actually easy content to deal with. It really isn't. And I understand that to a certain extent, but it's also kind of like, I don't get to take breaks. I really don't. I don't get to take breaks. And I'm not suggesting that everyone is obligated to watch everything that I do because I create a metric ton of content. I create a ton of content. And I'm not saying that everyone is obligated to watch every single stream because, again, that's really difficult. Average person saying, average person disappeared for a while. He's only recently come back. And I understand that. And I don't actually hold that against people. Like Nathaniel just came back. And what I will say is that my position has always been that I will show up for you guys when you show up for me. And so I guess it's kind of like I don't begrudge people taking breaks, but it is also difficult for me to continue to justify streaming this content for hours and hours and hours a day. And people are telling me that they don't really want it because I'm too mean and it's too boring and they don't know what to do, even though I tell them what to do all the time. And it's just like at some point, something's got to give. You know what I'm saying? And I understand that you want to take a break, but don't expect me to continue to show up if you're not going to show up. Because at some point I'm going to say it's just not worth it anymore. I can make more money doing other things. Like I can make so much more money than streaming on the internet. You know what I'm saying? And so what I like about YouTube and what I like about this format is it does give me a chance to teach people. It gives me a chance to teach a lot of people. Like, listen, people can shit on the numbers that I have on my streams all they want. But the fact of the matter is I was in corporate training and corporate coaching for years, and if you got to teach 1,000 people something, that was a really good fucking day. If I got to present at a conference in front of 1,000 people, and I presented at some of the biggest HR conferences in the world, if I got to present at a conference in front of 1,000 people, that was a really good fucking day. That was like a banner moment. That was one of those presentations that I practiced for, like for a month leading up to it. And now I get to talk to thousands of people like every single day. And so I don't want to seem ungrateful, because there are benefits to this platform, even if like my videos aren't getting like tens of thousands of views or anything like that. That's still a lot of people. And for most people that are doing this type of thing, that's actually still a really good number to hit. And so there's really nothing to be ungrateful for. But at the same time, there is also the reality that the feedback that I'm getting is that people don't want this type of thing. They just want me to be like every other conservative influencer, and I am unwilling to do that. And so we're at an impasse here. Anyway, let's keep going with the comment. As for why people would watch this stream versus socialism, people like drama. Well, that's part of the problem, isn't it? I'm not immune to that. When I feel like, and here's where the issue starts. When I feel like I understand something or know what to expect or expect to see more of the same, I'm less compelled to watch. See, this is part of the problem right here, is that so many people have been misinformed about the left, that so many people still believe that they have nothing to learn, because they watch libs of TikTok or Fox News or The Blaze or Daily Wire or Steven Crowder and blah, 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 blah. So they think they know everything. But in fact, they know nothing. But they don't understand what they don't know. And so they just stop showing up because they're like, I already know this already. If I ask this person to define capitalism for me, I'll bet you, and again, I'm not trying to shit on this person, I'm really not, but I bet you that this person could not actually define capitalism. I bet you this person can't define queer. I bet you this person can't define colonization, decolonization, like all this stuff. And listen, like, I guess, like, if you can't do basic one, like, and I just find this over and over and over again, as I guess what I'm saying is the people who think they know everything, you ask them the most basic questions and they have no idea how to define them. And this is important because the definitions are really all that matter. The definitions are all that matter. Because the left has a completely different set of definitions than we do. And so if you do not understand the left's definitions as they define them, not as you define them, as they define them, you don't understand anything. And yes, Andrew, this is important. Repetition is the key to understanding. There's a reason I repeat the same thing over and over and over again. And I don't know if people understand this. I don't like repeating the same thing over and over and over again. It has driven me insane. I literally have to say the same thing every goddamn day. Do you think that's fun for me? No, it isn't. But I do it because repetition is the key to learning. And so when you have this stuff drilled into you, because it's repetitive, that's when you actually start to be able to understand it. And more importantly, that's when you start to be able to teach it. Because the purpose of all of this, from the very beginning, was to download everything I know in my head and everything that we're seeing on video that the left is doing, to download it to an audience, to break it down in a way that is easy to understand, and to teach you how to teach it to other people. That's the point of all of this. It's not just to hear myself talk. It's not entertainment. This is not a fucking reality show. Although I think people would like it to be a reality show. It is to teach you how to teach it to other people. It is to create as many people as I can that have mastered this information to the degree that I have mastered it, so that you can go out and teach other people. That is the goal. Because the only way we turn this back, and it is a long shot at best, this is like a fucking Hail Mary, and it's probably not going to happen, but you know what? I'm in this situation, and so I'm gonna try. The only way that we start to defeat the left or turn back this cultural revolution is if normal people are out there informing their friends and family of what is going on. That is it. That is the only way this works. Because the conservative media and the conservative influencers are failing everyone. They are fucking failing everyone. So we can't rely on them. Not only are they not teaching people, they're actually making the problem worse. By lying to people, by making them believe that they're telling the truth when they're not. By making them believe that they know everything there is to know about the left when in fact they know nothing. So we can't rely on them. In fact, they're counterproductive, and that is the entire reason that I become friendly with Nick and the Groypers anyway, which we'll talk about a little bit more later. Because Nick and the Groypers understand exactly how counterproductive the conservative right is, and they understand exactly how counterproductive the influencers and the pundits and the media are. And we don't agree on everything, but at least we agree on that. Because that is the big problem. That is why people like this believe they know more than they actually know. And then they stop showing up because they believe they know more than they actually know. Which means they know nothing. Let's see, I just want to look in the chat real quick. Oh, I appreciate the points you guys are making. I do. You're the only streamer I know who's trying. I think Nick is trying too, if I'm honest about it. I probably don't fully understand, but once I reach a certain level of understanding, I'm less compelled. That means you don't have a level of understanding. I love that you show the evidence. I love that approach. It builds trust, and it's clear to me that you're putting your all into this endeavor, an endeavor that I suspect is of supreme importance. The problem is I have trouble seeing the bigger picture sometimes. Okay, that's valid. I've witnessed a lot of wacky behavior in the world, and your videos have massively opened my eyes and helped me to see what motivates a lot of the bizarreness. But I'm having trouble integrating it all. There are a lot of places where the puzzle pieces just don't fit together for me, but when I ask questions, I'm just told I need to watch more. See, this is the problem. This is the problem right here. Because what happens is people come to the streams and they think they know everything, but they don't. And then they ask questions, and the question they always ask is, what do I do with this? What do I do with this? What do I do with this? And we're going to get, and he actually asked this question in this comment. But when they ask that question, the answer is always and perpetually, and this answer doesn't just come from me, it comes from people in the chat too. You have to watch more. You have to watch more. You have to do the work. What they're looking for is a shortcut, because they're given a shortcut in every other thing that they do. And this is, again, I'm not trying to criticize this one person. This is a problem that I see over and over and over again. People are looking for a shortcut to learning this. There is no shortcut. There is no cheat sheet. I'm trying to bang out a book before the end of the year to give people a little bit better of a cleaner entry, but still, there is no way to cheat your way into learning a different language. That is what we are doing. We are learning a different language. If you do not understand the language, if you do not understand how all the things fit together, I'm very sorry. This is the answer you don't want to hear, but you do just have to sit and watch more. The more I learn, the more I realize I don't know a lot, and so I need to watch more. Yeah, you can't lazily win. You can't ask me for can you just give me a set of bullet points of what I need to know? Well, I can, but you're not going to understand the bullet points is the thing. I can give you a set of bullet points. I've been giving bullet points for years. I have articles on my Substack giving bullet points. I have tweets giving bullet points. I have clips giving bullet points. I've been giving bullet points for years. And what I've learned in that time is if you don't do the work, you aren't going to be able to make sense of the bullet points because you do not understand the language yet. But my understanding is getting diminishing returns because my brain needs something of a zoomed out view I can probably make sense of the weeds. I need to see the connections. I know you hate all the stupid questions, but maybe once a month do a stupid question Saturday or something where people are encouraged to ask stupid questions. I encourage people to ask questions all the time. I literally say in every stream I do, you can ask questions, and I don't mind beginners asking questions. What I will not tolerate is the same people asking the same question over and over and over and over again, because this happens all the time. And I know who's in my chat. I know who's asking these questions. If I see the same person showing up and they are asking the same question over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, that means, one, they're not listening to the answer. Two, they're trying to trick me to give them a different answer because they didn't like the first answer that I gave them. And the reason they probably don't like the first answer that I gave them is because it conflicts with something their favorite conservative influencer said. And so they're having cognitive dissonance to try to explain why I am giving them a different answer than their favorite conservative influencer is. And so they just keep showing up and asking the same question over and over and over and over and over again. And they keep expecting that I'm going to give them a different answer than the one I gave them before. But I am the most consistent bitch on the internet. I'm not going to give you a different answer. I might explain it in slightly different terms because sometimes I try to figure out how can I make this even easier, but I'm not going to give you a different answer. And so I don't mind when people ask questions. I encourage people to ask questions all the time. If you are not asking questions, that is your fault. If you are not showing up and listening to the answer, that is your fault. That is not my fault. That is your fault. I was left for a long time and thought I was correct, and then I was right for a while and thought I was correct, and now I'm neither, and I think I'm getting closer to reality with each step, but it's exhausting having the rug pulled out from under you, and sometimes the urge to close your eyes is just too strong to ignore. Yo, I feel that. I really do. I feel it. I feel that. I was on the left for 20 years. Never thought to question it. Wasn't really paying attention to politics because you know what? There was a time when I had a life. There was a time when I was focused on my career. I was focused on building a business. I get it, man. And then I had the right rug pulled under me from the left. I understand that. I understand what it's like to feel betrayed by the team you were on. And then I had the rug pulled out from under me by the right. I get that. The right has pulled the rug out from under me way worse than the left did. I'll tell you that. But I get what it's like to be betrayed by both sides. I really, really do. It does get exhausting. You do hate everyone. Okay, I don't really hate anyone, but it's just like I have an absolute aversion to people in both of the major political tribes. Like, and it's just like, it grates on me. Like, I was looking at comments from like just normie MAGA people today on Twitter. In like what I was looking is like cat turds replies. Have you guys ever gone into cat turds replies? Yo, it grated on me reading those comments from the normie MAGA people like nails on a chalkboard. I was like, no. So I get this. I really do. But this isn't an excuse. It's not an excuse. It's actually a reason to be more in search of the truth than you ever have before, because you know that everything that you're hearing from both sides is bullshit. You know that everything that every influencer is telling you, every pundit is telling you, every major journalist is telling you, every politician is telling you, it is all bullshit. And so this is not a reason to tune out. This is a reason to tune in to what the primary source evidence says. Because the primary source evidence does not lie. Now, you don't want to take one little piece of primary source evidence and make it all about that piece of information, right? You do want to look for patterns. You want to look for things that are showing up over and over and over again. But the primary source evidence doesn't lie. Conservative influencers lie. The news media lies. The pundit lies. The primary source evidence is the evidence. So It's not a reason to tune out the things that are hard to see. It's a reason to actually tune into them and to force yourself to look at the truth and acknowledge the truth. I think there are two questions that sit in my mind as I watch your content, and I suspect I'm not alone. They are, can this be helped, and can I help? See, but it always comes back to this, and this is how I know that this person has not watched enough socialism content. If the question in your mind, if the thing that keeps you from coming back is what can I do? You haven't watched enough content yet, and I just don't know how to make it any easier than this. And I know this is the answer that people don't like. If you do not know what to do, that is because you are not yet fluent in the language. Because, and again, I have heard this over and over and over again from people in my audience. Every single person goes through this. Every single person that reaches an advanced level with my content goes through this. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. This is all crazy. Oh my God, what is going on? The massive cognitive dissonance, the massive disappointment, the bargaining. It's like you have to go through the 7 stages of grief in order to become an advanced level person in my content. Because you go through bargaining, you go through denial, you go through anger, you go through eventually you reach a state of acceptance. And by the way, once you reach that state of acceptance, I find you don't actually need to take breaks anymore. The people who need to take breaks, they have not yet gone through the stages of grief that everyone you've ever trusted has lied to you. No one's told you the fucking truth. Everything is different. You have to go through those stages of grief, and that's what happens when you continue to watch the primary source evidence. And eventually you reach a stage of acceptance, and that's when you're like, all right, we're fucked. We're fucked. And then it actually does become easier, and I know that seems counterintuitive, but if you haven't yet reached that place, that means you need to watch more content. That doesn't mean you need to watch less. If you don't know what to do with this, I cannot give you a list of things to do until you become fluent in the language of the left. Because until you become fluent in the language of the left, there is nothing that you can do that's going to be effective. The reason that the conservative right sucks so badly at beating off the left is because they are not fluent in the language of the left. And so every single thing that the conservatives do will always fail. Because the target that they're trying to hit is over here. This is the actual target. But they're focused on a target over here that is a made-up thing that isn't even real. The magician, I use this analogy all the time. The magician is on this side of the stage doing the magic trick. That's not where the conservative right is looking because they don't understand the language. The conservative right is looking at the magician's assistant. And the magician's assistant is twirling around the stage in a sparkly dress with her boobs out. And that's what they're looking at. It's like, oh my God, sparkles and boobs and twirling and all that stuff. The magician is over here doing the magic trick. They're not looking here, they're looking here. And until they start to look here, there is no tactic in the world that's going to be good enough because it is always focused on the wrong thing. The magician's assistant is not the real problem. It is the farce. It is the fantasy. It is the thing that is put there deliberately to distract you so that your conservative influencers can make more money. Because that's what they're doing. They're hiding this from you over here. They're not reporting on what the magician is doing. They're showing you all the sparkles and the tits and ass of the magician's assistant. And they're doing that to get your money. And you're willingly paying them to lie to you because you like the twirls and you like the boobs and you like the sparkle. So if you have the question of how can I help, what can I do, you haven't watched enough yet. You haven't learned enough yet. I don't know what I cannot lie to you and give you... I literally wrote a fucking book with 4 chapters of checklists. Actively Unwoke, the ultimate guide for fighting back against the woke insanity in your life. I wrote it years ago. There's a lot that's changed since then, but the checklists are still whole. If you want the checklist, go get the fucking checklist. But I promise you that nothing you do will be effective until you learn to look over here and not over here. And the only way to learn to look over here and not over here is to watch more socialism content. And if you want to watch it on your own, that's fine. If you don't like my tone, that's fine. If you don't like my voice, if you don't like my attitude, if you think I'm too fat and ugly to be on the internet, that's fucking fine. But none of that changes the fact that until you start looking over here, nothing you do is going to be good enough because you're looking at the wrong fucking target. I really wonder if there's some sort of coordinated smear campaign against you. Yeah, there has been a coordinated smear campaign against me for literally years. Like, literally years, since 2021. I'm not joking about that. I don't think it's orchestrated by James Lindsay, but James Lindsay is participating in it. The Wignats were absolutely part of that. We'll talk about that later. The Wignats, yeah, the Wignats have caused a lot of problems for me over the years. The Wignats think that I've just discovered them. No. I have been intimately familiar with the Wignats since 2021. They've caused a lot of problems. James Lindsay has also caused a lot of problems. There's more to it than that, but I'm not putting that on you. I don't expect you to try and put a positive spin on this nightmare on top of everything else you're doing. But I do think that if the answer to the questions feels like no, it's demoralizing and leads to checking out. It's not that there's nothing that you can do. Like I just said, it's not that there's nothing you can do, but you need to force yourself to do what's required. And this is the tough love piece that a lot of people on the conservative right don't like. You need to man up. And I don't care if you're a man or a woman, you need to man up and put on your big boy pants and force yourself to do what is required. That's not what you want to do. That's not what you have the most fun doing. That's not going to be like watching a reality show on the internet. The left wins because the left shows up every single day and does what is required to win, regardless of it, if it's the most entertaining thing, regardless of if it's fun, regardless of if they want to do it. They do the boring shit and they do it every single day, and that's why they just continue to make progress every single day. While the right complains. I literally had a woman leave a comment on this video yesterday saying, Carlin, you know, I used to watch your content years ago, but then you just started doing all this drama content. And Carlin, I had to fast forward through 20 minutes of one of your videos because you were talking about drama for 20 minutes. And it was so hard to fast forward through that. And I was like, you had to fast forward a video. You had to fast forward over content that you didn't want to watch. Really? You had to click on a little fucking button on the video and scrub the timeline for 20 minutes to move over the content you didn't want to find the content that you did. And that was enough to get you to give up. She left this whole long comment about it. I was like, block. Like, you and I, I'm sorry, you're not on the same page as me at all. Because you know what's not going to stop me? Having to fast forward a fucking video. Grow the fuck up. Seriously. And by the way, for anyone that thinks I do too much drama content, I literally produce every single week more anti-communist content on the internet than anyone else that I know of. And if you think that anyone produces more than me, then tell me who they are. Give me a name. So if you're focused on the fact that sometimes I talk about things you don't like, then why the fuck aren't you engaging in the anti-communist content, the 24 hours well, I shouldn't say 24 hours, at least a dozen hours, somewhere most of the time upwards of 24 hours of content that I produce every single week by myself. Have you watched all that content? So then why are you focusing on the drama content that you claim you don't want to watch? Why are you complaining about that? Is clicking on the thumbnail that's about the socialism content really that difficult when compared with the thumbnail about the drama content? Well, and this is really the deal, isn't it? It's not that I'm producing drama content, it's that I'm telling them things that they don't want to hear. Why are you fighting with James Lindsay? You're all on the same team. Why aren't you working together? You shouldn't be talking about this. Why are you always talking about this? Why are you creating drama? Why are you infighting? Because James Lindsay and I are not on the same team. James Lindsay is lying to his audience. You are paying him to lie to you. And now you're running cover for him to lie to you. And you just don't want to admit that. And you're going to say, that's just drama. I've watched Carlin for a year. She doesn't primarily produce drama. She mostly produces content to fight the left. That's reality. That's reality. But I do one video that someone doesn't like. You only talk about drama. You're always infighting. Why are you always infighting? I had to fast forward over 5 minutes of a video because you were talking about someone that I like. Why are you always doing that? Why are you always creating... It's like it is a never-ending bitch fest and constant excuses for why people cannot do what is required. Anyway, you're doing God's work, and I'm not even sure God exists, but if he does, then he's a fan. I actually really appreciate that. I'm sure I've said more than one thing that will piss you off. It's not really that it pissed me off, and I don't want that, but you asked for honest feedback. I will try to put more energy into it. So anyway, I thought that this comment was actually really good and was like really good faith, and it addressed a number of issues that like I think are actually important issues, but that's kind of my response to it. It's like, if you think you know everything, I promise you, you don't. I've watched more of this content than anyone. I don't know everything. And I know enough to know that I don't know everything. But people who think that they've already learned everything they need to learn, but they still don't understand what to do with it, then you haven't learned as much as you need to learn yet. And you need to sit down and you need to force yourself to watch the content that you don't want to watch, because guess what? Watching socialism with us is actually a lot more entertaining than a lot of the shit that the left does. The left is organizing. The left is cold calling. The left is like emailing stuff. They're putting together events. They're putting together these classroom exercises. They're doing all this boring shit. I'm not even asking you to do that yet. All I'm asking for is for people to come and learn the content. And if you don't want to do that, then go somewhere else and get lied to. And I don't give a fuck anymore. And if I don't end up having an audience to do the streams with the socialism content, if people really don't want to know, I can't do anything about that, man. I tried. Let's talk about drama content. How about Ben Shapiro had a hissy fit over Candace Owens not immediately jumping on the Israel bandwagon? Where is the controversy for Ben? Drama content. I think that's a great question. You know, here's another question. Why doesn't anyone ever say to James Lindsay, why are you saying Carlin has a personality disorder? Why are you constantly accusing Carlin of having a personality disorder that she doesn't have? Why are you constantly lying about her? Why are you ignoring primary source evidence? This is the question I would really like people to ask James. Why are you ignoring primary source evidence? Do they ever do that? No. They just come into my replies. Why are you infighting? Why are you creating drama? You're on the same team. Why don't you work together? And then when I do a video saying, well, I tried to work with James for years and he's an asshole. Why are you creating drama? Why are you infighting? Why are you working? I just literally told you why we're not working together. He's an asshole. We're not on the ssame team. We're not on the same page. He's lying to you. He's smearing me all the fucking time. Why are you infighting? Why are you... And it's the same fucking script over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And it's like... It's a double standard. The right would rather defend their idols than listen to a lone wolf creating actual content. That is absolutely true. That was absolutely true. This beer is so good. Beer never lets me down. Beer is always there for me. Yeah, we didn't leave James. James left us. That's true. Anyway, so that's kind of my comment on the video yesterday. I'm still kind of... like, I'm serious about this. I don't know what I'm going to do about the streaming thing. I really don't. I don't know if I need to change the time of the streams. I don't know what I need to do because I'm really not getting much good feedback from people. I don't know. I don't know. And so if people have actual feedback that is an actual productive thing, not just, like, I swear to God, if you leave any comments on my channel saying, you should become just like all the other conservative influencers, you should do what all the other like, go fuck yourself, honestly and truly. Go fuck right off. If you want conservative influencer content, you have any number of choices that you can go and pay to lie to you and tell you all the and whisper all the sweet nothings in your ear that you want to hear, and I'm never going to be one of those people. It is never going to fucking happen. So fuck right off. Yeah, there's still going to be Socialism Saturday tomorrow. Yeah, obviously, we're still going to do that. A genuine question, and this is something I'm aware I need help with since I'm asking. Was having people helping build this content up yes, I mean, well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that people can do to help. Yeah, there's a lot of things that people can do to help. I think the thing that would help the most, would be if people can share the content out, honestly. That would be the thing that could help the most. Making clips of the content helps. There's a couple projects that are going to be coming up that more writing based projects that people can help with, but yeah, that is a helpful thing to do. Well, what are you serious? I already do this. I literally already do this. Literally already do it. Catch up. This is the other thing. It's like people give suggestions all the time of things that I'm literally already doing. It's like I do spy streams behind a paywall. I know how many people show up to spy stream. I know how many people don't show up to spy stream. I do spy streams behind a paywall. Doesn't work, by the way. Doesn't actually work, but at least it's something, I guess. Anyway, let's move on, and I want to talk about Wignats. Now, this is the guy that we're going to be listening to today. The main one. I just want people, so this kind of started, so the other day, so people are interested in, like, oh, you guys can't even see what I'm looking at. Duh. Here it is. So the Groypers have been in a fight with this group of Wignats, like, for the last couple weeks or so. And when I say Wignats, I mean, well, it stands for Wigger nationalist. Wigger means white N-word. I'm not going to say it because I'm on YouTube. Which basically these are like, they're like when you think of like a stereotypical like neo-Nazi that are dumb and stupid and these big guys that go to the gym all the time and they like, when you think of Patriot Front, that's what we're talking about when we say Wignats. These people are low IQ retards. They're actual neo-Nazis. They are obsessed with race. They hate anyone that's not white. They are obsessed with, they call themselves like literal National Socialists. They're the people that do all like the crazy Fed shit that always ends up on video and always ends up causing problems. Anyway, there's a group of these people that have a, like, I think they're doing this kind of daily. They have like this space on Twitter that several hundred people listen to, and it's a bizarre thing to listen to because it's like, you're telling me these people are actually this stupid? And so they've been trying to pick a fight with the Groypers, and sometimes the Groypers go in and fight with them because here's the thing, and I didn't actually understand this about Nick Fuentes and the Groypers until like last year sometime. Nick Fuentes and the Groypers hate these people. Like, and this is why I think it's so bizarre, that conservative influencers try to convince you that Nick Fuentes and the Groypers are the most evil anti-Semites in the world, the evil white supremacist anti-Semites in the world, because they're just not. Like, provably not. Nick hates these people. The Groypers hate these people. And they fight with them all the time. And so they've actually been feuding with them kind of like all week. There have been several Groypers that have gone into these spaces and they talk with them and they fight with them. And because I think that everyone is still kind of, I think it's kind of like a slow news time. And so everyone's kind of bored. And so they're creating drama because they're bored. Yeah. Like mainstream, like normie people think that Nick Fuentes is a Wignat because of all of the lies the conservative media has told about him, when he is not. He is not. But there are these real people in the world that are that thing, and they're awful. Anyway, I've been like low key listening to these spaces because again, it's kind of like with the Wignats, it's kind of like staring into the socialist abyss, because it's like, you don't want to believe that this is actually real, but it is real. And it's like you can listen to them talk and they are every stereotype that you think they are. And so I've been like listening to these spaces. I go in anonymously so they don't know I'm in there most of the time. And I've just been like, and I'm just like, oh my fucking God. And so I tweeted out the other day, I said, Groypers humoring Wignats with debate is a waste of time. The Wignats are low IQ retards who live in a constant state of Dunning-Kruger. They're like energy vampires that will suck the life out of you while trying to gaslight you to bring you down to their level. Just say no. And then Nick responded to it, and Nick just said, yup. And I love it when Nick Fuentes just responds to tweets with one word, because it's just so beautiful. Like, that's all he has to do. It's all he has to do. And so when Nick responded to that tweet and just said, yup, that exploded my mentions with all sorts of fucking Wignats in my replies. And do you know what those Wignats said? Can you imagine what they said? I think it's all the usual stuff. She's a socialist. She's a communist. She's a pedophile. She's married to a pedophile. She's fat. She's ugly. So I had this in my days, my fucking feed filled with these fucking people saying everything. And then yesterday they did a Twitter space, and we actually listened into some of their Twitter space yesterday. And the surprising thing about the Twitter space yesterday was that BigTech just happened to be in the Twitter space when, like, during the portion that we were streaming, because they streamed for like, they did a space for like 9 hours yesterday or something, and we only caught like a little bit of it just for fun, just for entertainment. And they had been talking about me earlier in the Twitter space, and I'd kind of gotten wind of this, but like I never went back and listened to like the beginning. But we caught this little section, and BigTech actually went up to speak, and he said, he was talking about flat earthers because he's on this like flat earth kick apparently, where he's like A-logging flat earthers or something. And he went up and said, you might not like Karlin Borisenko, but at least she believes the earth is a globe. And I was like, oh, seriously. And I was like, that was actually, you know what? In his own way, that was actually very sweet. That was actually very sweet of him to acknowledge that I am indeed not a flat earther. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe we're on a BigTech redemption arc. Who knows? Who knows? And then a little birdie flew into my DMs, as always happens, because this drama on the internet is just like not escapable. So a little birdie flew into my DMs, and that little birdie said, you know, Karlin, BigTech. The little birdie said, Karlin, BigTech spoke earlier in the space, and he talked about you a lot earlier in the space. Did you hear that? And I was like, oh shit, seriously? And so I have a super secret contact. Well, because she's not super secret. Auntie G. There's a woman that hangs around with the Groypers that goes by Auntie G. Auntie G can get you the recording of any space, even if that space isn't recorded. And so the Wignats don't record their spaces, which I think is probably for obvious reasons. However, I messaged Auntie G and I was like, can you get me a recording of this space? Because I wanted to hear what he said. And so last night, Auntie G provided me with the clandestine recording of this entire Twitter space that wasn't recorded. And I listened to what BigTech said. And also, at the same time, the Wignats were also saying all sorts of stupid shit. And so, I gotta say, like, again, I didn't have this on my bingo card. I really didn't. And I do like it when people surprise me. So I recorded it. And the guy we're going to be listening to, I have to show it to you again because you didn't see him the first time. So it's BigTech and it's this guy. You're not going to be able to see them. You're not going to be able to see like because this is just an audio recording, right? So you're not going to be able to see this is actually who kind of was like posting about me. You can see he's posted about me here. It's always someone with a surname that is foreign to the creation of America that has the most to say. Now, of course, Borisenko is not actually my maiden name. Borisenko is my married name. My family's been around these parts since prior to the revolution. On one side, just after the revolution on the other side. So, and by the way, I don't really necessarily feel the need to prove my bona fides. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just do it because I did this yesterday. We'll do this for the the Wignats who will inevitably end up like watching this. Hang on. We're doing it live just for the Wignats who will inevitably end up watching this. Hang on one sec. We're going to look at my Ancestry.com, or not, 23andMe. Okay, I know people have an issue with 23andMe, whatever. Oh, shit. But I did 23andMe a long-ass time ago, okay? So just in case anyone thinks, you can see this is me signed in up here. Just in case anyone gets any ideas, we're just going to do this live. Not doxing myself, relax. No one's doxing anyone. Look at this. Northwestern European, French and German, 45%. British and Irish, I don't really like that British part, but whatever, the Irish is cool. 34%. Broadly Northwestern Europe, 9%. And then Southern Europe, Spanish and Portuguese, 12%. Unassigned, 1%. No, I am fucking doing it. I'm fucking ancestry doxing. I'm doing it. You want to know why? Because I am very, 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 very European. I am very European, mother effers. Extremely European. In every possible way am I European. Every possible way. Anyway. And there's also some sort of report in here that will show you that I have 0% Ashkenazi Jew. Literally 0. So, we're just going to put that out there, and the Wignats can do with what they want with that information. I don't fucking care. But that's reality. And that's all the information they're getting about me. And my ancestry. But this is the guy we're going to be listening to for the most part. And, you're going to hear him talking to BigTech, and there's another guy too, and I don't really know who the other guy was. But I want you guys to listen to what happened. And I have some things that I would like to say to the Wignats. And I want to celebrate the maybe redemption arc of BigTech. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know why he did this. But I appreciate it, and I want other people to hear it. Okay.
BigTech.
Hey, I just wanted to pop up because if I can clarify for Thomas, I think he's under the impression that that Carlin person is a socialist, but for the sake of accuracy.
So that Thomas retard thought I was a socialist and communist. You guys know it's like the IQ test on my channel. Can you figure out that I am not a socialist, that I'm not a communist? This is like the first barrier to entry to understanding me. This is like, if you can't get around this IQ test, you are not smart enough for me to interact with. Yeah. Thomas and his Wignat friends failed the IQ test. They failed the IQ test. It's a bit too loud. Okay, I'll turn it down a little bit.
She's not. Her whole channel is dedicated to exposing socialism. So she watches socialist events and reads socialist books to help everybody understand the threat of socialism.
Yeah, but can't you see that as like a subversive way to spread socialist ideology? Because she did marry to I think a Ukrainian man, was it, who was convicted of being a pedophile?
Also wrong. Also completely incorrect. I mean, I did marry a Ukrainian, but he had nothing to do with that other thing. So again, the Wignats are just not bringing their best. But listen.
Yeah, you're mixed up on that too. You're just conflating two totally different stories. The pedophile thing had nothing to do with her husband. That was a different guy. And the Ukrainian guy was just an immigrant who was working for a moving company. So when the moving truck arrived, she flirted with the guy lifting the furniture.
He
Like,
flirted
that's
with
her
me,
husband.
actually.
So the other guy was just somebody she knew who had a website that did payment processing for somebody who ended up getting caught having something sussy on their site. And then his payment processing site was apparently like part of an indictment because money traded hands having to do with that, but he wasn't connected or so. So I'm not here to like sweep for her, but I think it makes people look dumb when they say the wrong thing. So I just wanted to set the
I
record
appreciate
straight.
you correcting me. Yeah.
So he specifically, BigTech went into this Twitter space specifically to correct the errors that the Wignats were making. And he's doing it very nicely, and he's doing it very diplomatically. And again, I don't know why exactly he did this. But let's keep going.
But it's kind of interesting that she does stuff like that. I see that as subversive. Why wouldn't she teach National Socialism, which is directly against international?
I'm going to tell you exactly why I'm not going to teach National Socialism, because you guys are fucking retarded. First of all, and this is me responding to the Wignats now, because again, we're doing double duty here. We're listening to BigTech do the right thing, and I'm also responding to the fucking morons that are on this Twitter space. These guys don't even know exactly what I'm doing. And they have the fucking gall to say, why doesn't she do it our way? Why doesn't she spread our propaganda? You know why I'm not spreading your propaganda? Because I'm not a National Socialist. I think you guys are retarded. I think you guys are completely fucking counterproductive to anything. And my whole thing is showing people what the left is doing with primary source evidence and letting them decide for themselves if they're comfortable with that. I am not pushing your fucking bullshit propaganda. I don't push propaganda for anyone.
Jewelry.
To give her credit, and I'll take a little credit for it myself. I mean, she and I had actually sort of we have a little bit of bad blood left over from some kind of a personal beef that happened. But before all that, she was asking me a lot of questions about National Socialism and Hitler, and I sent her a lot of info.
More
and
Hitler
she watched
than
it
National
and responded
Socialism.
very well. So I would say that she's actually at a point of being sort of like fairly recently red pilled. Like she just started understanding the JQ this year, and she's trying to like dive in, head first, but she's still sort of new. So that's just kind of my take.
I don't know, man. I appreciate the insight. I just see that as subversive, man. If you're willing to fly the hammer and sickle.
If you're willing to fly the hammer and sickle, what's happening here is Thomas saw my socialism thumbnail where I have an AI image of me as a socialist because it's funny and it's satirical. and he didn't have a high enough IQ to figure out what I was doing. And now he's saying, you're flying the hammer and sickle. What a moron.
It's really a two-party Jew party, which is, the Marxist, communist Bolsheviks and the Zionist Jews. So I don't, okay, and this could be me. I could be short-sighted.
Yes,
but if
indeed.
you understand
Indeed you are. Indeed
international
you are,
socialism
asshole.
and you want to teach that to other people to try and wake them up to what they're...
I don't want to teach National Socialism to other people. That is an eventuality that is not even on the fucking table. You can go and teach whatever the fuck you want to other people, but I'm not shilling your propaganda.
actually doing. Okay, that's the same method that Jack Posobiec is doing. Remember, he made the book Unhumans.
Well, I've actually been teaching this a lot longer than Jack Posobiec, although I am friends with Joshua Lissick, who is the guy that actually wrote that book Unhumans, and he's a really good guy, and he knows what he's talking about. But I've actually been doing this a lot longer, and I have a lot of receipts that Jack and Joshua don't have because they were just writing a one-off book about it. This has been my life for 3 fucking years. So... And by the way, Jack Posobiec isn't even doing the same thing I'm doing. Again, these retards just show that they, like, this is the thing about these people. This is the thing about these people. These people cannot do the most basic bit of research to find out what they're talking about. This is why you can never take these people seriously. If they can't do the most basic bit of research, what is Carlin actually doing before I mouth off about her on the internet? Who is Carlin actually married to before I spread rumors about her husband? What has she actually been doing? What is she actually focusing on? What is the purpose of all of this? This guy didn't even realize I wasn't a socialist. He didn't even read a Twitter bio. And you expect me to take directions from people who can't do the most basic bit of research on the internet? No, that's just not going to happen, bro. He's so dumb, he cannot even pronounce Jack Posobiec's last name. True.
Okay, so I find it interesting that the people that are in the Trump camp are pushing this socialist ideology to wake people up from socialism.
I'm not in the Trump camp. I have repeatedly said I'm not voting for Trump. So also false.
Instead of using, NSDAP literature to wake people up from...
They want me to use National Socialist literature to wake people up. No. Declined. No.
The socialist ideology. So that's where I'm kind of drawing my mind frame from, if that makes sense, BigTech.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think that she thinks that what she's doing is helping. That's my impression, just personally.
I don't actually think what I'm doing is helping at all. I think we're totally and completely fucked. But, I appreciate the sentiment.
I think she's helping, but she's reading stuff that people aren't looking at, and she's trying to say, hey, look, these people are psychos, and they're trying to, do a communist takeover of America.
Well, that's true. That's true. It didn't work, bro. Give it up. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Tate. Yeah, it's almost like these guys have no fucking clue what they're talking about. They're trying to criticize me, but they don't even know anything about me. And I'll say, this person here considers himself to be a National Socialist. And he's even saying, I'm a National Socialist, but I don't think that teaching National Socialism is the best way to push back against the left. And you know what? This person, I don't know exactly how to pronounce your name, bro, so I apologize for that. This person just shows up for my streams. This person knows what I'm teaching. You guys might not like that he's a National Socialist, but he knows it. He knows what I'm doing. He and I probably disagree on some things, but he's never been rude to me. He's never been unkind. He's never spread rumors about me and my husband. He has never called me a communist. He shows up, he learns, he gets whatever he gets out of it. So I ain't got no beef.
Good. they're coming for your kids, and like she's trying to expose that, so she thinks she's helping. I think.
All right. Interesting. Thanks for coming up. I appreciate the insight and any
Yeah, no
corrections. Yeah, man.
How did she get linked up with the Groypers of all people to get linked up with? Is what I'm wondering. And my issue, like, look, if she's doing this stuff
Yeah, I
like
can tell
under
you.
the radar, if she's doing, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes. If she's doing this under the radar, like, how under the radar is it when you're like, I'm just putting this out there, it's Captain Obvious here, but you got a YouTube, tell them.
How under the radar is it? This is actually an interesting point. They're like, how can she fly under the radar when she's doing this stuff? You want to know how? Because most people are fucking lazy and most people don't watch all the content on the internet. And I can literally go undercover at socialist events while being live talking about socialists on the internet because most people are lazy as fuck and they don't actually look into things and they don't pay attention and they don't listen. And that's how I can fly under the radar because most people are lazy.
A YouTube channel telling people this is what you're doing. You know, I mean,
but also to my point, also Big Tech, if she understands that National Socialism is the only thing that fights against international Jewry,
No, that is not at all my position.
why would she counter signal us because we're National Socialists? So she actually is on the attack right now.
Why would I counter signal the retards of the internet? Gee, I can't imagine why. Why would I possibly counter signal the toxic retards of the internet that are completely counterproductive in every single thing that they do? You guys don't even leave your house, Thomas. You know why I counter signal you? Because I want to make it very, 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 very fucking clear. We are not on the same team. You are just as much my enemy as any fucking communist. And I don't care what you call yourself and I don't care what your ideology is. Do you want to know why? You are a low IQ retard that is beneath me in every possible way. There's a difference between a National Socialist and an edgelord punk Wignat. And again, I'm not a National Socialist. That's not something that I claim at all in any way. But I also know that there's a difference between this guy who shows up, who listens, who learns, who is nothing but polite, and the fucking retards of the internet that are on this Twitter space.
She's still a fucking, to her defense, if you're to look at this logically, she's still a normie. If she's just waking up,
No.
she doesn't even, she might not even understand that this whole fucking system's fake and gay yet. You know, I'm just saying, like,
Guys,
if she's new to
hang on,
all.
guys. One in the chat if I understand that the system is fake and gay. Two in the chat if I do not understand that the system is fake and gay. One in the chat if you think I understand the system is fake and gay. Two in the chat if you think I do not understand the system is fake and gay. Let's just see. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of ones in my chat right now. I literally say everything is fake and gay all the fucking time. My chat is literally filled with ones right now. There are no twos. There are no twos at all, bro. Just filled with ones. Because, you know, it is true. Big Tech is correct that I did just, like, he red-pilled me earlier this year. But I am a very quick study. And I learn things a lot faster than most people do. So, yes, everything is indeed fake and gay.
All this, you know, there's layers that you're peeling off to where you.
I think she's smarter than you guys are giving credit for.
True.
I think she's
Yeah.
smarter. I think
Smartest
she knows
thing
what
he's
she's doing.
said all day.
She's an
Yeah,
attention
I think
whore.
it's
I know this bitch.
Like you hear someone was like, she's an attention whore. No, bro. No. Stay the fuck away. I don't want any attention from you guys. Stay away. I want as little attention as possible from you assholes.
Yeah,
It's not my fault that Nick responded to me. If Nick hadn't responded to me on Twitter, you assholes wouldn't even know who I am.
like I was saying, I think she's pretty new to getting it. The way I think it happened for her, she hated Nick and the Groypers, and she was
True.
like against them, right? And she hated Trump too. She was like, but then she got to her story's kind of weird, but anyway, she hated Nick and the Groypers, had all sorts of problems with them. But then she like switched when, you know, because she's female and sort of like an anarcho-capitalist, anti.
Because I'm female. All right, we're going to let that slide.
Aggression, non-aggression principle, like a libertarian type of person and stuff. Oh shit, my mic just died. Hold on a second.
We can still
Anyway,
hear you, man.
oh, you can still hear me? Okay, good. One of my
Yeah.
headphones just died. She's a non-aggression principle libertarian, right? So, but then when
True.
October 7th happened, just like we saw with so many, they saw, oh, the horrors of Palestine and stuff. And she found that Nick was like the clearest thinker on all this. She was listening
True.
to his takes that are anti-Zionist, and she said, "Oh my God, Nick is so good at this." And anyway, like in my impression of it, she just sort of went like Nick is the leading voice against Israel, so she's just kind of like thrown in with Nick because she's anti-Jew, anti-Israel, anti-communist, anti-socialist. And she essentially has come out and said she wants fascism in America, but she hasn't really figured out how to relate to it very
All right. Well, hang on.
well or something. So
So okay, there's a lot to unpack there. There's a lot to unpack. First of all, I'm not anti-Jew. I don't care if people are Jewish. And that's real. I might joke about the whole Jewish thing because it's funny and it's kind of a meme, but I actually don't care if people are Jewish. I am very anti-Israel, and I'm definitely very anti-Israel influence in American politics, but I'm never going to like be against a person because they're Jewish. I will be against a person based on their behavior. So if a Jewish person is behaving like an unhinged psycho, then I am going to be against that person. But it's not because they're Jewish. It's because they are behaving like an unhinged psycho. Now, sadly, in the last year, we just happen to have seen a lot of Jewish people behaving like an unhinged psycho. And so, but I also know Jewish people who don't behave like unhinged psychos, and I'm not against them. They can stay. I don't care. Just don't behave like an unhinged psycho. Now, on the same note, I also have people who are not Jewish in my life who also behave like unhinged psychos, and I am equally against those people. So I don't think it's accurate to say I'm anti-Jewish, and I actually do want to be very clear on that because I actually don't really care if people are Jewish. I do care if people are unhinged psychopaths. Now, in regards to anti-communist, anti-socialist, yeah, I'm fucking anti that because that's going to lead to all of us starving, and I don't think that's good. Then he said at the end, he was like, she's embraced fascism, but she doesn't really like know how to relate to it. I mean, low key, like, I've embraced fascism to prove a point. I hope everyone understands this. I actually don't think that classical liberalism is going to solve this problem that we have with the far left. I don't think that conservatives continuing to become more liberal are going to embrace the problem that we have with the far left. I don't think it's going to solve it at all. I think it's actually just going to make it worse. And so, like, the position that I have is fascism is like the only way out of this fucking problem with the far left. However, when I say I'm embracing fascism, I do not mean these assholes, and I'm not putting BigTech in that box right now. He's in a separate box by like on his own. I don't put him in the same box with these people because, quite frankly, he's about 8,000 times smarter than these people. But in terms of these people, I don't want these people in charge of anything. I don't want these people to have any decision-making power at all. I want these people to be on some far-off corner, removed from... I want these people to be removed from society just as much as I want queer Marxists to be removed from society. They can both go to their own separate fucking corners. This is not the type of fascism that I'm talking about at all. I am talking about a worthy dictator that is going to come in and ban all the queer shit and not allow it anymore and put anyone in jail who wants to teach it. But I'm not talking about these people. These people are probably worse than socialists. These people, if they were in charge, would make my life worse, and I'm just not willing to do that. However, I could see a reality in which maybe in some fantasy universe, there is a worthy dictator that is not these people, that is far smarter than these people, that maybe would make some good decisions that would benefit all of us and would not make my life measurably worse. Renan says, do we have to come up with our own perfect fascist regime? I feel like we need that. Yeah. Yeah, I think we do. Yep. And these people are not going to be included. No fucking Wignats in any positions of decision-making authority in my fascist regime. But I hope people understand that. I hope people understand that I'm using the fascist thing to make a point. And that I'm not in favor of fascism at any cost. I'm only in favor of it when it does the things that I think are required to make the country better. And these people are not included in that equation at all.
I think HT's right. She's kind of like a new normie who's figuring it out.
What about the pedo accusations with the boyfriend? Did you look into that?
Yeah, I think that's just drummed up by people who hate her to make her look real bad. It's a character assassination attempt.
Okay.
I guess
So true.
Yeah, that's my impression of it.
Okay. Well, then maybe I'll pull down the post.
Maybe I'll take down the lies I told
Well, she only
about
caught our
her.
radar because she started attacking National Socialists. So.
No, I attacked them
No,
specifically.
she started attacking this. She wasn't National Socialism. She was
Yeah.
attacking this
And I'll
channel in
continue
particular
to,
and the message that we were putting out there.
Because you're
So,
retarded.
I mean, she was attacking us specifically. It wasn't even like
Correct.
Adolf Hitler. So
Correct. She takes the Groyper side of this kind of whole thing.
Yep,
Yeah.
I do.
Which
Yep.
is still the Republican side. It's not, and that's what.
Only literal retards believe that the Groypers are Republicans.
I asked Big Tech. I'm like, so, and he said that he introduced her to, the NSDAP stuff, and it's like, okay,
Not
well, if you
exactly.
realize that.
No. Thomas is not characterizing that correctly. Big Tech did not introduce me to the fucking National Socialist fucking bullshit. That's not what happened. Big Tech and I talked a lot about Hitler. We talked a lot about World War II. We talked a lot about Jewish-related things, but not the same as these people.
What Germany was doing was right on point. Why wouldn't you, push that propaganda instead of pushing this
Because
communist
I'm not
propaganda to wake people up?
retarded.
because most women don't like, women are women, dude. Like
Yeah,
they,
but I
they're
drew the
wired.
that guy Jack. Remember Jack Posobiec, however you say his last name?
Posobiec?
Posobiec. Okay, he wrote a book called Unhuman, right? And he does the same thing of using socialism to wake people up instead of using the NSDAP's propaganda.
I am never going to use your propaganda, bro. That is a retarded strategy that is going to go nowhere, and it doesn't actually even accomplish the goals that I had. And maybe if you had done just the bare minimum of research to find out what I actually fucking do, you would understand that. But you're too much of a low IQ retard, Thomas. I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry that you're too stupid to fuck with us, bro. But that's why you're in the space that you are in, and you can stay there, and you need to stay the fuck away from my space, and you can comment on me all you want on your little fucking white power spaces. I don't really give a fuck. But let's not pretend we're on the same level, bro, because we're not.
You see what I'm saying? I drew a correlation.
In all fairness, if she were to sit in here long enough, I guarantee she'd get it if she was an honest player.
No.
But just like that one girl who came in here, she was real mouthy, talking about Jesus this, Jesus that. We're like, hey, why don't you shut the fuck up? You got, 2 ears and one mouth for a reason. Shut up and sit down. We put race before, the religion stuff. And then a week later, she came back up here, apologized, and she understands where we're coming from. That's best case scenario with these kind of, with women in general.
See, here's the thing. Here's the thing that these assholes don't understand. and BigTech doesn't know this either, so this is not his fault. I have been listening to these people since 2021. I am not unfamiliar with Wignats. I am not unfamiliar with their content. I spent months in 2021 doing a deep dive into this whole fucking subculture. Now, it wasn't exactly these people in this exact Twitter space, but I have listened to probably hundreds of hours of their content. With these people specifically, and I didn't do this live on the internet, I did my own research offline. I did it on my own, in the quietude of my own office, without you guys knowing. With regard to these guys specifically, I've been listening anonymously to their spaces for hours and hours over the past week or so. It's not that I haven't listened to what they have to say. Unlike these assholes, I do my research. I listen to what people have to say before I draw any conclusions about them. And do you know what conclusions I've drawn about these people? Not only based on all the research that I did years ago, but based on the research that I've done very recently, is these people are retards that need to be cordoned off from society and completely segregated from polite company at all, because every single thing they do is counterproductive. Every single thing they do is counterproductive to solving any goddamn problems at all. These people push more people away from red pilling than they bring people in. These people are probably the reason that I didn't red pill sooner. Because when I was doing deep dives into their content in 2021, I hated them with every fiber of my being. Now, the mistake I made at that time was assuming that Nick Fuentes was the same as these people, because he's not. That was my mistake. Because the Groypers back in 2021 were grouping themselves in with these people in regards to their responses to my posts. And so, mea culpa, I didn't do my due diligence to look into the fact that Nick Fuentes and the Groypers were not the same as these people. I grouped them all together in my head. So that was an error that I did make, which was later corrected. And I can acknowledge that error because I can acknowledge when I get stuff wrong. But the fact of the matter is, my opinions about these people has not changed. And the reality is, I probably would have red pilled on all the JQ stuff a whole lot fucking sooner had it not been for these assholes. I think these assholes need to be kept away from anyone who might be on any journey to waking up at all. So if they want to say, well, all this little stupid woman needs to come and do is just come and listen to us. Come and listen to us big, strong men. And she will be learned in the ways of Wignat fucking National Socialism. No. Declined. I've already done way more research on you than you've done on me, and that is evident by this little clip where you literally thought I was a communist that was married to someone that I'm actually not married to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also asked, she told me she came from a legacy American family. So I asked her why she wouldn't give the surname, and she said,
because I don't know you
she
shit.
won't give a surname to a low IQ Wignat.
True. I did say that. Yep.
She still is not providing any evidence that she's connected to a heritage American family. I'm throwing that out there.
Well, you better really bring those papers if you're going to talk to Thomas about family trees. All right, you better bring the paperwork.
Family tree,
that's all I'm saying. You hear? If you're listening anonymously, you better have the paperwork, or you might end up. You might end up in Thomas's family tree, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, that seems like a really low IQ threat to make on the internet. Yeah, did these actually... They do this every day, Brucey. They do this literally every day. For hours and hours and hours a day. I was just listening to them earlier. I was out doing some errands. I was listening to them as I was driving around. They do this literally every day.
I do look at surnames. Surnames mean a lot. There are a lot of surnames that are directly connected to the before the Revolutionary War. So when I see surnames, and people talk about America like shit. You know,
By the way, it's not actually hard to figure out what my maiden name is. If you actually wanted to figure out what my maiden name was, you could very easily do that by a simple search. But I'm not going to give him that. I don't know this guy anything.
communist radar fucking goes off, man.
Yeah, I mean, you are a bit of an autist on that, but I'm just being, I'm just being busting your balls a little bit. But I love,
It's okay.
That's
I
all right.
love my family.
I know that's. I mean, at sometimes I'm like, Thomas, would you shut up with this? And then at the same time, I go, I'm just jealous because I don't know shit about my family.
It's fine. I'll just adopt you, HT. I'm just gonna adopt you.
All right, bro.
And your mom, since she's cool.
All right. Well,
But I know there's some people that don't fucking like it, but
I respect.
Sorry, guys. I love my family and I love America. So.
Hey, while I still got the mic, could I say one more thing?
Yeah.
About the Groiper situation, I think like my perception of it is that it's a losing game for Nick to interact with you, and it's a winning game for you to interact with Nick. So when I see Nick jumping up and saying, shut it down, they're low IQ, leave them alone, don't join their spaces, which is pretty much the message going around in their sphere that I've seen. I even heard a space where they were basically, taking Nick's cue, and they were sitting around talking about how actually they feel bad for everybody in the space, and they should pray for everybody over here to find the truth of like the love of Jesus Christ and stuff. And they're getting to this like condescending concern troll for your safety. I hope they stay in a prison. I'm worried for their souls. I hope they go to heaven. But we should just sort of like leave them be because, they're struggling to figure things out, and, this patronizing thing. But really, truth is, the more this goes on between you and the Groipers, you're not going to lose any of your guys to Nick. It's not like anybody over here is about to become a Groiper. There's a lot of Groipers. If they hang with you, they're going to start liking you. So it's only losing for Nick and winning for you.
I talked to Thomas about this before this morning. I was like, dude, if I were Fuentes, I would tell these guys to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And stop making these spaces, stop making these posts, because all you're doing is creating controversy, and people want to get in on it, and then they hang around, they hear the ideas, and like, yeah, well, this sounds way fucking better. So like, it's a lose-lose.
Now you just told everybody our phone call from this morning. Good job.
It's all right.
Good job, HT.
Well, I mean, Big Tech's smart. He knows what's going on. But on our side, guys, if we want to bring out the prayers, I'm all of us at 1488.
There's one more person that speaks after this that I want to respond to. I think Big Tech is basically done at this point, but
if you're pagan, Christian, or neither, we're praying for you, Groipers. We're praying for you to pray the gay away of all you faggots. So we're gonna pray for your gay to go away. All right, pray the gay away.
That'll be number one.
Very Christian.
Where are we at with hands?
I don't know, Zeus. Do you remember the order?
Now they're moving on to someone else who talks about me.
Oh boy!
Hang on.
Better hide your ovens.
There's one more low
Zeus,
IQ thing to take care of.
Hide your ovens.
Okay, hide your ovens.
It's Gilgamesh, then Alex, then Bulgarian.
Hey, what's up, guys?
No. He said Gilgamesh first, man.
Howdy, everybody.
Yep. What's up, Gilgamesh?
Hey, Termite gifted a membership in the community. Who got it? Lady of the Lake got it. Congratulations. Thank you, Termite, for gifting that membership. All right, there's one more guy I want to respond to on here.
Howdy, partner.
I've been listening to you guys for a few weeks now. It's not my first rodeo in spaces, but I like what I'm hearing. It's good stuff. I enjoy the camaraderie. First, you guys were talking about Porcinco. I've been following her for a few years now. She likes to latch herself on gateway noticers, such as like Adam Krigler, Tim Pool, Steven Crowder, and cozy up to them. And then shortly afterwards, she will backstab them and talk a lot of shit and cause a lot of drama for clicks. But I don't want to really draw into that too much.
Well, okay, so this is the most ironic part of this whole thing. Is again, these people are pretending to be the learned people of the internet. I've never spoken to Steven Crowder in my life. I've never spoken to Tim Pool in my life. I did used to be on Adam Krigler's show every once in a while, but that was because Adam Krigler asked me and then backstabbed me for money. But I have literally, this is like one of those like weird things where people are absolutely convinced that I've spoken to Tim Pool and I've been on Tim Pool's show. I have literally never spoken to Tim Pool. Literally never spoken to the guy. I was never on his show. It's never happened. He covered things I did tangentially, but like, I've never done an interview with him. I've never spoken to him. I've never met him. I have never been on Steven Crowder's show. I've never spoken to Steven Crowder. I've never met him. So how the fuck am I cozying up to these people when I've literally never talked to them? And this is like the rumors that these assholes spread, and then they demand to be taken seriously. So provide receipts, bro. See, this is why I provide receipts for everything. I would really like this guy to provide receipts that I've ever even spoken to Tim Pool or that I've ever spoken to Steven Crowder. Adam Kragler is a separate thing. He's the one that stabbed me in the back. And by the way, Adam is still like on about like Tim Pool and Lydia today, which is like really pathetic. Someone sent me a DM saying that Tim has finally blocked Adam on Twitter because he got so sick of his whining. I'm like, I don't even know what that guy's doing anymore.
Much.
I don't know. That sounds like some Bolshevik Jewish type shit, man.
You know what I think is Bolshevik Jewish type shit? People who lie about me on the internet because they can't do the basic bit of research.
Absolutely.
It's just naturally feminine. How about that? Let's just be
Naturally
honest.
feminine.
Okay. Yeah.
So the Bolsheviks were feminine.
Naturally
Okay, I can
feminine.
agree with that.
Yes, I think these retarded Wignats who are lying and saying things that happened or saying that things happened that never happened. I think that's very feminine of them. Very true. I think that is very, very feminine of these retarded assholes on the internet to say that I talk to people that I've literally never spoken to. Yeah, you have the Microsoft Paint drawing to prove that I met Tim Pool. I would like to know, what episode of Tim Pool's show was I on? What episode of Steven Crowder's show was I ever on? Literally never happened. Anyway, that's basically it. That is basically my response to the Wignats. But listen, man, I will say this. Listen, BigTech W. I wasn't expecting him to do this. It really did catch me by surprise. And, you know, to be real for a second, like, he didn't have to do this. There was no reason for him to go on there and, like, I'm not going to say he was defending my honor because I don't think that's what he was doing. I don't exactly know why he did it. But, like, there was no reason for him to do this. There was no reason for him to go onto this stream to say, hey, you've gotten a couple things wrong and I'm going to make sure you have them right. But I will say that I really did appreciate it because, you know, I've had these lies spread about me for years now. And it's not that I haven't had people defend me. It's not that I haven't had people speak up for me. Some of you in the chat have spoken up for me and I always really appreciate it. But it was actually really unexpected to hear that BigTech did this. And I really appreciate it. And, you know, I know the Groypers don't like him, and I have a lot of reasons not to like him because he was, quite frankly, really shitty to me. But I was kind of shitty to him too. But I would argue that he was more shitty to me, and I think he would argue that I was more shitty to him, and like whatever. And we were both shitty to each other. But I know the Groypers don't like him. But what I will say is, like, there were more reasons for him not to do something like this than there were for him to do it. And so I guess I just got to say thank you. I really do. There was a lot of people listening to this space. So to have someone, even though I think these people are retarded, to have someone go on a Twitter space of this size to say, you don't understand what actually happened here, I appreciate it. He didn't have any reason to do it. He didn't have anything to gain from it. And so I thought it was really cool. And so I wanted to share it with you guys because, you know, if people do things to help us out, then we should acknowledge that. So that's all. No Termite, your chats are not being deleted. I don't know what's going on. Hey, Honest Dog Allison, thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate you. All right, that's the Wigger drama. That is the Wignat drama. I really hope to have nothing to do with these people moving forward, to be honest with you. Like, this is as much as I ever want to acknowledge them. Their energy is incredibly toxic. I know a lot of you guys don't believe in the energy stuff, but like, I can only be around these people for so long. I feel like I need to take a shower just listening to them. And it's just like, they're toxic. I recommend everyone stay away. Yeah, I think that most of them are feds. I think that most of them are probably feds. And I want nothing to do with them. And that's really all I have to say about that. All right. Do you guys want to listen to some more of this James Lindsay podcast? We started listening to this earlier this week. And it was just really entertaining, to be honest. So what we have learned so far is that James Lindsay believes that queer theory is based off of an ancient Greek indoctrination ritual, which included men having sex with boys, and therefore, queer theory today is all about sexualizing children because the ancient Greeks had orgies, and it's all Gnostic, and that means that everything that's going on in the real world today is Gnostic. And that's basically as far as we got. So let's, there's still 3 hours of this podcast left. I thought I would just drink and we would laugh. Because we laughed a lot for the first 40 minutes of this podcast. It was pretty hilarious. You can catch the clip from the other day. And, oh yeah, the demiurge. Yep, we learned about the demiurge. Yep. Everyone have their Gnostic hat on. I know the Wiggers are all leaving now. Bye, Wignats. Bye, we're not talking about you anymore. You can stay if you want and actually learn what I do, or you can go away. I don't really care. Let's keep going with this podcast. And by the way, if anyone else has anything else that they want me to watch, let me know. I'm just chilling. I don't know how long I'm going to be streaming for. I'm just chilling. It's a Friday. I'm having some beer. I hope you're having some beer as well. Let's get this party started. Wait, are people not able to send super chats? Are people not able to send super chats? It looks like the monetization is on. I don't know why people can't send super chats. People have sent super chats. Is that why people aren't sending any in? People have definitely sent super chats today. That's weird. I don't know what's going on there. All right, let's just go with it.
The product that they produce in Marxism. So rather than capital gratification and conflict in society,
thanks, Nick.
And so
Appreciate
the people
it.
excluded from that have the opportunity to awaken to a queer consciousness of what it means to be excluded by being considered
thanks,
abnormal.
Brucey.
This is the same as the proletariat gets to be have the opportunity of being awakened by what it means to be exploited as a worker and alienated from the product that they produce in Marxism. So rather than capital being the form of bourgeois cultural property that has to be destroyed or abolished in order to achieve communism, you now have normalcy being destroyed. The people who have the means of production under communism, the bourgeoisie, their means of production have to be stolen from them. They have to be seized. We're going to seize the means of production. I know you're better.
Don't worry
Everybody
about
thinks
it.
that means factories and stuff.
Thank you, Angel
But
Eyes.
Marx believed that the human and society are downstream from economics. So if you seize the means of economic production, you seize the means of human production. You seize the means of societal production.
Oh, he's so close.
And so you're actually seizing the means of human and societal production through
close.
economics. It's a very important distinction people need to understand. Well,
James believes that capitalism is an economic system. Well, that's a problem. That is absolutely a problem.
Here, the abnormals, the queers, as it were, have to figure out a way to seize the means of production of what it means to be normal. But
pop quiz for the chat. What does it mean for queers to seize the means of production? Happy to be here. Like the sunglasses. Say thank you, Christian. I appreciate you. What does it mean for queers to seize the means of production, guys? Pop quiz. Let's see if we're smarter than James Lindsay. What does it mean for queers to seize the means of production? It means they abolish the family. They create the queer family. Why? Why does abolish the family mean seize the means of production? They mean controlling the people. Yup. Hey! Thank you, Elena. I appreciate it. Abolish normativity regarding the nuclear family. Yup. Yeah. Seizing the means of production for queers actually means seizing the means of reproduction. The nuclear family is the literal means of reproduction. That's what they're talking about, James. It's not what it means to be normal. Normativity just means capitalism. Normativity means the norms that uphold capitalism. But they believe the family is what perpetuates capitalism. The family is the literal means of production or reproduction of capitalism. James changed his tune when he began grifting off Christians. Prior to this, he talked about how he liked to meditate. Now he doesn't even mention it because Christians think that meditation is evil. Okay, not all Christians, but many of them do. Yeah, seizure sexy time. Yeah, exactly. The nuclear family creates more capitalists. Exactly. Social reproduction theory is how the family reproduces itself through the nuclear family to perpetuate capitalism. The people are the means of production, not the machines or factories. The nuclear family is the way capitalism is reproduced by raising the next generation of proletarian workers. Exactly. Exactly.
It's a little more complicated than that. It's not factories, it's cultural, and it's extremely entrenched, and it's
family.
obviously really rooted in biology, so they're not going to succeed at that.
True.
So instead, what they do is they dissolve it. They dissolve it constantly. And that's the basic idea of queer theory. It's acidic, deconstructive assault on the concept of normal, but it proceeds along the ideas of a Marxist conflict theory where the special form of bourgeois private property that has to be abolished so that the means of cultural production can be stolen from the people who currently hold it are the people who call themselves normal. That property is normalcy. That has to be normativity. It has to be stolen from them. It has to be abolished.
Wait. So James has come to the conclusion that normativity has some reference to property. So close, James. When will you figure out, James, that parental rights are a form of private property?
And the queers doing queer activism. Meaning, and we're going to hear how technical the word queer is. I'm not using it as a slur for gay people. It's nothing like that. It's a political identification.
True.
It's the same as being class conscious, frankly. They have to be able to abolish normalcy and seize the means of production of what it means to be normal and acceptable in society from the people who are doing that. Now, in Marxism as a form of Gnosticism, what you have to understand is that the means of production are the artisanal means of producing society. You're producing.
What are the artisanal means of producing society, James? Notice James is not mentioning the family. At least when James recorded this, he has not yet understood that the nuclear family is the means of reproducing normativity in society. Let's see if he gets there. James is married to a woman, so yeah, I think he is.
Society, you're producing man through economic structures, through economic tools.
Wrong.
So in other words, in Gnostic language, the people who control the means of production are like what's called the demiurge.
Oh my
God! In Gnosticism,
God!
which I guess I have to summarize a little bit, the demiurge is the evil.
You know, people come into my comments all the time, and they're like, Carlin, queer is obviously Gnostic. And I'm like, you literally only think that because you've listened to James. They're like, no, it's obvious. I'm like, it's literally only obvious to people who only listen to James. There's no fucking mysterious demiurge. What they're referring to is the nuclear family. The nuclear family reproduces normativity. Normativity means the norms that uphold the capitalist society.
demon that actually creates the world and does so to imprison people to his own benefit. We have to keep them from eating from the fruit of the tree of knowledge and good and evil, because then they'll be like us, like the gods. So we're going to lock them out of that. And if they violate it, we're going to kick them out of.
Parental rights are a form of private property because they liken it to slavery. They say that children who are owned by their parents through parental rights are considered to be slaves to their parents, and it is their job to liberate the children from the adult supremacy that is oppressing them by society, because children are but little adults that can make all their own decisions. So they liken it basically to a form of slavery. They say that people cannot own other people. Parental rights are a form of ownership. Abolishing parental rights liberates children and allows them to live as full-fledged human beings and make all their decisions for themselves, because they are but little adults that need to be liberated from the oppressive capitalist forces that are holding them back. That's essentially why.
Eden. We're going to lock them in a world of suffering. We're going to imprison them away from their true nature, which is as gods. We don't want them to awaken to the fact that they are all human beings are already as gods.
Yeah.
That's what the demiurge does. So it is demiurge comes from the Greek demiurgos, which means
You're welcome, Kyle.
artisan, builder, person
This
in control
is
of the
so
means of
stupid.
production. So here in Marxism, you have a Gnostic frame.
Wait. Demiurge means builder. Builder means something that controls the means of production. Therefore, queer theory is about Gnosticism because queer wants to control the demiurge, which is the means of production. See, this is the best comedy we're going to have all week. This is great. This is fucking great. Let's listen to that again.
That's what the demiurge does. So it is demiurge comes from the Greek demiurgos, which means artisan, builder, person in control of the means of production. So here in Marxism, you have a Gnostic framework that the proletariat is excluded from the means of production, from demiurgic power. The demiurge is the bourgeois.
The proletariat is... Wait, that's explicitly wrong. That is literally explicitly wrong, James. The nuclear family produces the proletariat workers that will be oppressed under capitalism. To say that the proletariat is excluded from the means of production, that is completely unhinged from what the left teaches. What they teach is the nuclear family produces the next generation of oppressed proletarian workers that uphold and reinforce the capitalist system. The nuclear family is literally providing new workers to be oppressed under the system. So that's completely wrong.
And it is controlling everybody and setting the terms of society to produce man through things called like material determinism.
How is man reproduced? See, people think I'm nitpicking on this stuff with James. I'm not. He's just objectively wrong. How is man produced? Man is produced by a woman giving birth, usually in the confines of the nuclear fucking family. The woman does the unpaid labor, literal labor, of birthing the next generation of oppressed proletarian workers under capitalism. And then the next generation of oppressed proletarian workers are raised with privatized capitalist bourgeois values, which that just means private property owner, within the confines of the nuclear family, which is considered to be a privatized unit because all the resources you have for healthcare, for living in the world, come from the family you were born into, not from society at large. So it is private. It is not collectivized. Everyone who believes James' Gnosticism theory is insane. I'm sorry.
What has to happen is the dialectical materialism has to wake up in the class-conscious proletariat to overthrow the whole system. They have to become Gnostic. They have to adopt socialist consciousness. They have to get socialism as their gnosis, their salvific true self-knowledge, that they, in fact, are oppressed historical agents who have the power to transform history if they just get together in solidarity, class solidarity, and seize the means of productions. In other words, become the demiurge themselves,
is the means of production?
so that they can unmake the prison of being bit by bit. And it's exactly the same in queer theory. The exact same thing, but the property is no longer the material means of production. It is the means of cultural production and social production around the world.
What does that mean?
Normal. Who gets to decide what's normal?
Oh my God.
Now, Marxism is not purely Gnostic. Marx was
normal is whatever upholds capitalism.
Was very Gnostic, more Gnostic than Hegel in the kind of formal Gnostic sense. Hegel was a Hermeticist, though, and Marx incorporated Hegel's dialectic into his dialectical materialism. And so what you end up with is, between Hegel and Marx, is a blend of Gnostic and Hermetic principles. The way that I tend to phrase this is that Gnosticism is the motivation in Marxism, and Hermeticism is the means. So when I say about modern Gnosticism, which applies to queer theory as postmodern Gnosticism, I mean that the Gnostic impulse that we're imprisoned in the universe of being, the being itself, is the motivation to act. It is the source of the salvific self-knowledge that can liberate you. But the mechanism by which you do it is the Hermetic transformational process, the dialectic, as laid down by Hegel and appropriated by Marx. Aufheben, which is to abolish but yet to keep and to see from a higher perspective. The dialectical sublation, which is often...
Is James on drugs? Because honestly, hang on. Apologies. But no, seriously, is James on drugs? Because I feel like this is something I would come up with after I had smoked a lot of weed. I don't even know where he's getting this. How do you understand anything about the left and arrive at this conclusion? I mean, this is like, James honestly kind of seems like he's on a constant acid trip. It's I really, yeah, maybe James is smoking a little bit too much of that Gnostic weed.
Often phrased transformation. It's achieved through the clash of opposites, of intrinsic opposites, and thus their synthesis, where you remove the distinctions between things that seem to be different, or that are different, or that are fully distinct. Good and evil. No, they're two sides of the same coin. Man and woman. No, they're two sides of the same coin. You just aren't understanding from a higher perspective.
He had
That's
the gender
idea.
binary. He was
and in the
so
process,
close.
you obliterate good and evil, and everything becomes relative. And you
All right, I need to pee, so I'm gonna step away for a second. I'm gonna let this play. Let me know if I miss anything. Take good notes for me. I believe in you.
Obliterate man and woman, and everything becomes gender fluid and ambiguous. That's the...
Hang on, he just said it. He literally just said it. He literally fucking just said it. He was like, the whole thing is to obliterate men and women and everything becomes gender fluid. He was right there. And now he's going to go on a complete fucking tangent. I'm going to have to wait to pee because we need to let this play out for a second. I can't believe it. It's like James is just throwing darts at the dartboard, and like most of the darts are missing the entire board, and then all of a sudden he gets a fucking bullseye and he probably doesn't even realize it. It's like, James, you sailed right through the fucking answer. Yeah. This is why I learned nothing for 3 years. Hang on, I have to get a screenshot of this. This is why I learned nothing for 3 years and many James Lindsay books. So fucking close. Let's listen again.
Two sides of the same coin. You just aren't understanding from a higher perspective. That's the idea. And in the process, you obliterate good and evil, and everything
Exactly.
becomes relative. And you obliterate man and woman, and everything
Yes!
becomes gender fluid and
True!
ambiguous. That's the idea.
Yes.
So Gnosticism is the motivation. They
Gnosticism.
feel imprisoned in their very
It's Gnosticism. It's Gnosticism that's calling for the abolition of the gender binary. It's not queer Marxists who do this literally all the fucking time. It's Gnosticism. They want to abolish the gender binary, therefore Gnosticism. All right, I'm really going to go pee now. I'm going to let this play. Yeah, oy vey. Oy vey, James. Oy fucking vey.
existence, but Hermeticism is the means. And what they're actually doing is blending those, because the mechanism that they're using is Hermetic principles to seize the power of the demiurge, which is the power to imprison and make suffer those who you are over or that you control. But the mechanism by which they get there is through removing distinctions, and that's the Hermetic part. That distinctions are an illusion. We'll come back and talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Let me finish up a little bit more about Gnosticism, because we've talked, but I point you again to the podcast that I did before, because we talked about Gnosticism and haven't talked about Hermeticism yet. But Gnosticism has this evil creator demon called the demiurge, which means the artisan. The demiurge is actually a demon. The snake in Genesis, according to the Gnostics, the serpent, which is Satan, is telling the truth and revealing the fact that the character called God in Genesis is this demon that's created the world as a prison for the holy spiritual man.
I just heard Genesis and demon and creating the world for a spiritual man. Let me know if I missed anything.
In queer theory, it's that normal is the demiurge. In Marxism, it's that bourgeois is the demiurge. In CRT, for example, it's that whiteness is the form of property that creates a white supremacist.
Oh, whiteness is a form of property. Pop quiz for the chat. If I were to give you 3 words, let's say we're going to do normativity, let's say we're going to do whiteness, and let's say we're going to do, what was the other word? What? Bourgeois. Here are the 3 words. Normativity, bourgeois, and whiteness. What do all 3 of those words have in common? What do all 3 of those words have in common? Normativity, bourgeois, whiteness, which is a form of property. Yeah, James, all 3 of those words mean capitalism. They literally all mean capitalism. All of those words mean capitalism, James. That's what we're talking about. Normativity means capitalism. Bourgeois means capitalism. Whiteness means capitalism. They're all capitalism. That's what this means. Everyone owes me $2. Oh, man.
Demiurge in white Western culture. Once you kind of understand this, though, the contours, this is the big picture part. The contours of queer theory as a Gnostic theory become really clear. They become really clear really quickly. You're trapped in a body. You were born in a body, but you didn't get to pick your body. You're trapped in a body, which is like a prison. Your soul, whoever you think you really are, your mind is trapped in a body. And you were put there in that body against your choice and against your will. You didn't ask to be born at all. That's why you're in a prison of being and existence itself. That's what Heidegger referred to as the flungness or thrownness of being. We've been thrown into this world against our will. Woe is us. We must lash out and gnash our teeth and wail against it. And we've been Geworfenheit into a body that was assigned a sex at birth.
Oh,
so some medical authority came along, looked at our genitals, and assigned us a sex. They gave a word, a categorization. They named the distinction of our body, which has nothing to do with who we really are, according to this. which is a profoundly dualistic view, just like Gnosticism. And we are trapped in a body that got assigned a sex at birth, and we have to go through a forced or non-consensual puberty eventually that ripens our secondary sex characteristics and tertiary sex characteristics and gender characteristics as such later as we develop. We didn't ask for any of that. And so if I feel like I was born as a boy, but I'm in a girl's body, I got flung into the wrong body and I'm trapped there. And the reason that I get treated like a girl, even though inside I'm a boy, is because a doctor said, you're a girl. And society said, yeah, you're a girl. So you had a sex assigned at birth. They tell you what you are. They don't know what you are. They don't know your soul. But they told you who you are based on your mundane, fallen form, your body. In fact, the grossest, crudest part of it, your genitals, the most dirty, fallen part, and I mean fallen like fall of man, original sin.
Do queer Marxists think that our genitals are dirty like the fall of man? Is that what they think? What do you guys think? Do you guys think that actual queer Marxists believe that genitals are dirty like the fall of man? Because actual queer Marxists seem to talk about sex and fucking and loving their body a whole lot. In fact, there's a whole subset of queer Marxism known as fat studies or fat positivity that basically says our bodies are beautiful no matter what. Fat studies, fat positivity comes under queer Marxism. Disability studies, disability theory, crip theory comes under queer Marxism. So no, James, queer Marxists love their fucking genitals. They don't think their genitals are like fallen man from God or whatever the fuck. That is Christians, James. That's Christians. You're thinking of Christians. Not all Christians, but specifically the Christians that you cater to with the MILFs. That's Christians.
Fallen part of your body, your genitals, are used to determine through medical authority, which they claim is a form of illegitimate power, who you're going to have to be. And then your parents are like, oh, she's a girl. We're going to raise her as a girl. We're going to make her wear girl clothes. We're going to tell her what it means to be a girl. We're going to make her play with girl toys. And you hear all the things that they do to screw up kids because they think this is wrong. They think that the parents in society, oh, she's a little girl. She's so pretty. She's getting called strong or whatever. Oh, look, she wants to play with dolls and flowers. And she wants to have a tea party. She doesn't want to play with trucks or throw the truck against the wall to break it, as all the boy moms understand.
Yes. We kind of have a pool started in one of my group chats where there is actually a betting pool. Rottweiler's in charge of it. Talk to Rottweiler if you want in on the betting pool. There is actually a betting pool on which day James is going to convert to Christianity. I think it's going to be around Christmas. Myself, I'm not participating in the pool though. I think that would be unfair, but I think it's going to be around Christmas because, you know, nothing says Jesus like Christmas. But yeah, I do think he's going to convert to Christianity. Absolutely, 100%.
Immediately, just because they can. They think that that's socially imposed because a doctor looked at their genitals and decided we're going to call this thing based on its fallen, dirty, perverse, profane sexual organs. We're going to call this thing a girl. We're going to raise it as a girl, and society is going to raise it as a girl, and everybody's going to consider it a girl. We're going to reify its sex and gender identity as female through social norms, expectations about sex, gender, and sexuality. This is a big key to how queer theory works, and we'll turn that key and unlock it through our looking at Michel Foucault and Judith Butler later when we return to this. But you can see immediately how this is Gnostic. You were born into a body which imprisons you. It doesn't matter who you actually feel like you are. You were given a body. A doctor told you what that body means. Society inscribed, your parents and society inscribed that meaning into you through rampant social conditioning, and now you're trapped as a girl when in fact maybe you feel like a boy, and you're imprisoned. Or maybe you're a girl, but you feel trapped into having to be girlier than you actually are. And that's a prison.
James is the flat earther.
But you can actually save yourself through having secret self-knowledge, esoteric self-knowledge of who you really are. We could call it, and I'll call it here. I don't know how.
Actually, can we start making memes? I know we haven't made memes in a while, and I know that it was mostly Bot and Human Centipede Diddy who were making the memes. But can we produce a bunch of memes calling James the flat earther of socialism? Can we do that? I feel like that's got to be one of our campaigns to get James to debate me. We need to position James in the marketplace as the flat earther of socialism. We probably should have done this a while ago, but we hadn't listened to this podcast yet. I think that's a really good idea. I would like to see memes if anyone is so inclined. Anyone can make memes. Just at me on Twitter. Just send it into my DMs. I'll retweet that shit.
How often they call it your gender soul, your true soul, your true platonic
the
or
land of
neoplatonic
Retardia
form.
is flat Earth.
And knowing that provides you the pathway to salvation and escape from the prison of your being in your body. In other words, queer liberation. Sort of. It gets more complicated than that. So Gnosis, remember, is saving.
I'm going to do a Twitter space called James Lindsay is the flat earther of socialism. Okay, I'm paying attention.
Self-knowledge. It's knowledge about yourself that saves you from the imprisonment of the demiurge. You know that the demiurge is a demon, so that when you finally die and meet God, your soul gets to go not where the demiurge would put it, but with God.
What?
That's the idea of Gnostic. It's a Christian belief.
Serious?
Well, here, Gnostic gender belief is you know who you actually are. You awaken to the gender soul inside of you, and you can actually live your life as who you were meant to be all along, contra society. It doesn't matter what society tells you. It doesn't matter what the doctors assigned you at birth. You get to be who you are. So maybe you're non-binary. Maybe you're gender fluid. Maybe you're trans. Maybe you're just the other and you don't know what to do. You can see how it's a Gnostic understanding of yourself. It's very easy to understand queer theory as Gnostic that way. Now, what about Hermetic?
Yeah, it's so easy to understand queer theory as Gnostic when James goes on and on and on for an hour where he's made shit up that has no basis in reality. Okay, Reagan just found a video. What's this video, Reagan? Oh, it's a video critiquing James? Do you guys want to take a quick James break and watch a video critiquing James? On this Gnosticism bullshit? Should we do that? Let's watch this video. Hang on. James break. This is only 15-minute video. And apparently it's the short version of a longer video. Let's see. Did it transfer my sound? I think it did. All right. This is on a channel. Thank you, Reagan. I appreciate it. Reagan just found it, so it's not Reagan's fault if it's not good, but we're going to give it a try. Metaphysical Rig, The Misuse of Gnosticism short, critiquing Eric Voegelin and James Lindsay. Let's see what this says.
I made an almost 1 hour long video criticizing the idea that Marxism and wokeism, among others, are Gnostic. These ideas come primarily from Eric Voegelin, a 20th century political philosopher, and are now propagated by James Lindsay, a mathematician and atheist.
Does James actually ever mention Eric Voegelin? Oh, excuse me, I got hiccups. Oh, God. I might be drunk. But more importantly, does James actually mention Eric Voegelin? You've seen this? Oh, he mentions Eric Voegelin on his interview with Jordan Peterson? Oh, okay. Okay, so James is aware that he's stealing ideas from Eric Voegelin. That's interesting. You think someone on the left would make a video talking about how James is full of crap? Well, no, the left benefits from James. The left only benefits from James acting like a psycho. Oh, so James Lindsay's BS isn't even original. He's stealing the work of Eric Voegelin, just like he's... Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Precisely.
Author who was previously a leftist and now is a classical liberal. I'm making this video as a shorter version of the previous one, which I'll link in the description, so that the essential arguments stand out as clearly as possible, and my critics won't have to waste 1 hour of their precious time on something that might create discomfort to them anyway. I'm just shortening their agony. I'll also address some of the criticisms I received to the first video, so let's start. My claim is that Gnosticism has no direct influence on Marxism nor on wokeism, but also not on positivism, on psychoanalysis in the purest sense, on progressivism, on fascism, and on communism as well. I make the distinction between Marxism and communism because Vogeling wrote about them separately, and also to address some of the criticisms I received for saying that Marxism is a modern ideology, a framework, and not just a process. But that's reductionist, pedantic, and beyond the point. Now, when we talk about Gnosticism, we generally refer to the early Christian heresy, which viewed the material world as a lesser or evil creation of the demiurge, who is the false god who came about as an abortion of Sophia, one of the beings we find in the Pleroma.
Wait, the demiurge came about as an abortion?
Adam is a creation of the demiurge, but through the help of Sophia and the serpent of the Garden of Eden, man liberates himself from the tyranny of the demiurge. But humans are still trapped in the material world. They still need a way out, and this is offered by Gnosis, the secret knowledge of spiritual mysteries. Gnosis is not for all humans. The pneumatics, who are the spiritual types, have it easier. The psychics still have some hope for salvation, while there is no hope for the helix, the completely materialistic human types. So we have a distinct hierarchy among the human species. There's also a clear, distinct hierarchy of spiritual beings.
Just for the record, just from like a general woo perspective, knowledge is available to anyone who wants it. It's not cordoned off from anyone. We all have access to all knowledge. But the thing is, if you don't want to know the secrets of the universe, they will not be revealed to you. And there's a lot of reasons why people might not want to know. Because it upsets your entire life. Because you have to take more responsibility for your actions. Ignorance is bliss is a saying for a reason. There are a lot of people who just don't want to know. And if you don't want to know, you're going to be closed off to it. And you're not going to have access to the hidden knowledge that isn't really hidden at all, but you have to decide that you want access to it.
In the Gnostic cosmos, on top of which we find the real God. As we can see, Gnosticism is a dualistic and spiritual philosophy. It advocates the rejection of the material world and the return to the spiritual, to the Pleroma. This is the point where the two gentlemen in question find the first link between Marxism and Gnosticism, and that link is called alienation, the rejection of the world and the attempt to evade it. They say Gnostics and Marxists or wokeists share the same attitude. It's not me who has a problem, it's the world that is evil. But the Marxists and wokeists, instead of feeling dissatisfied with the material world, pick a fight with the social order and with social constructs, trying to overthrow them and to deconstruct them. But who created?
They're not the same thing. But I'm trying to emphasize that my perspective is that no knowledge is hidden. I'm not a Gnostic. I'm not a pagan. I'm a generalized spiritualist, but I do not believe there's any hidden knowledge in the world. Well, let's watch the video first to see what he actually says.
Created the social order? Who created the social constructs? Well, the capitalist bourgeois class, of course. So now we have our new modern demiurge, but it's not a metaphysical being, not a psychic being to be more precise. There's nothing spiritual going on. It's just an evil social class making society a prison for all of us. This is what James Lindsay claims. I don't know if you could find a more forced analogy to prove the supposed
Seriously,
Gnostic
I
nature
agree.
of
It's completely
Marxism.
forced.
There certainly are some commonalities if we abstract from most of the essential elements of these philosophies, but the overall differences in the framework on which they operate and in the goals that they have are so big that those commonalities do not legitimize any association between these philosophies in the sense in which we find in James Lindsay and Eric Voegelin. Marxism is materialistic. Gnosticism is definitely not.
True.
For the Marxist, matter is
That's
good,
actually a really
or
good
at
point.
least neutral. For the Gnostic, it's evil. Marx wanted to immanentize the eschaton to bring about the utopia. The Gnostic does not. He wants to evade, not to change the world. Marx wished for a political subversion of the social dominant class. The Gnostic does not. He doesn't deal with politics. Marxism operates on the political and the economic level. Gnosticism does not. Marx advocated for equality, and so do the postmodern philosophers who like to emphasize how equal every single individual is to one another. Gnosticism does not, because it believes in ontological and spiritual hierarchies. In Gnosticism, we have a dualism between the physical world and the spiritual world. In Marxism and Wokeism, we don't. The Gnostic is called so because he has a secret knowledge of the spiritual mysteries. The Marxist and Wokist do not have any such secret knowledge of spiritual mysteries. And I emphasize spiritual mysteries because the argument brought forward by James Lindsay is that Marxists and Wokists do have a kind of gnosis. That in itself is a dubious claim, but I'll give him that they sometimes behave obnoxiously as if they were the only people who actually understand the philosophy they adhere to. Yet that's not gnosis in the actual sense of the word,
That's
because
not
no spiritual
Nazis.
mysteries are
Freudian
implied,
slip
which is
on the
the essential
captions.
characteristic in the definition of the word gnosis. That's just mostly a defense mechanism which can bring about some obscurantist literature. Can there be a similarity in their attitudes? Maybe, maybe not. But such a marginal parallel would not make either Marxism nor Wokeism Gnostic. As parallels between Christian morality and Marxist and postmodern morality don't make the latter Christian. We can even find similarities between Christian principles and Satanist principles
That's a good
advocated by
point,
some
actually.
Satanist sects. Does this make Satanism Christian? No, because in its essence, it's the exact opposite.
It's a rejection of
Only a
Christianity.
surface level analysis could lead to that conclusion.
True.
And that's what we are dealing with
Yup.
in Lindsay's and Vogelin's work. A surface level analysis that ignores what lies at the core of the philosophies merged together
A
by
surface
them.
level
From a
analysis by
symbolic point of
atheists.
view, we might give Vogelin some credit for correctly noticing that the figure of Prometheus, which is used by the young Marx in his doctoral thesis as a symbol of his attitude, has a real correlation with Gnosticism, because we can associate it with the serpent from Genesis who tempted Eve to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. The serpent is instrumental in man's liberation in the Gnostic mythos. So is Prometheus, who brings the fire of the gods to humankind in Greek mythology. This is an actual interesting connection, yet it's not sufficient to prove that Marxism is Gnostic when the differences are still so overwhelming. Vogelin at first uses Gnosticism as commonly understood, meaning as the early Christian heresy, but then he starts to apply the term arbitrarily to Marx, Nietzsche, Hegel, and Heidegger. We might be a little indulgent in Hegel's case. Although he clearly wasn't a Gnostic in the proper sense of the word, he did have a spiritual framework. He was influenced by mystics such as
James
Jacob
thinks that
Boehme.
anything that is
And
not Christian
when someone
is Gnostic.
attempts to read his obscure writings, the only way to make sense out of them is if we apply some esoteric and metaphysical understanding as means of interpretation. Hegel has also been associated with Hermeticism, and one of the replies I got to the previous video is that, well, Vogelin's only mistake was to use the word Gnosticism, whereas he should have talked about Hermeticism. Unfortunately, his quote-unquote only mistake is the whole thesis of all of his work. And it's a huge mistake.
His only mistake
One
is
which,
his entire
from what I
thesis.
know, he did admit later on in his life, as he regretted using the word Gnosticism
All right.
in the way he did.
All right, I can't watch any more of this video. Like his like I can't take it. It's just too much, okay? But okay, so James is clearly wrong. Let's go back and listen to James. This is a candy corn frost icy slime.
Hermeticism's, I haven't covered it yet, so I gotta spend a little time with it. It's more esoteric, it's more complicated. There are going to be future podcasts about this because it's hard. But the kind of a core thing of Hermeticism is that distinctions are an illusion. Anything that you think makes something different, like boy and girl, good and bad, whatever, it's all an illusion. In truth,
True, that's true.
all is one. Sounds very New Age, right?
All
Except
is one,
it was written
true.
at least 600 years before Christ.
James. All is one just means that we're all part of the collective consciousness. It just means that we all come from the same place, that we all have a little spark of God in us. It doesn't mean that we're all non-binary. That's not what it means.
It's not that New Age. All is one. And in my notes, like you'll see it often in their writing, one is all in caps, O-N-E, giant letters, right? Because and sometimes they put it in bold and all caps to really indicate that it's oneness beyond all oneness.
It means we're all part of God.
Well, the problem is that distinctions become a way to knowing. So
oh my God.
The way that you understand the world is that we live in this kind of paradoxical situation as a Hermeticist, where we know that the distinctions, this versus that, up versus down, left versus right, male versus female, we know that they're an illusion. There's just one undifferentiated perfect whole.
Oh my God.
But the only way to actually understand the world we're in is through the distinctions, which we know are apparent. And so the goal is to overcome the distinctions and to see from the higher perspective of oneness, which is sometimes referred to literally in their literature as achieving
it means
not
oneness
atonement,
on a spiritual
but
level,
at
James.
one-ment, with hyphens and the word one separated, so it's pronounced at one-ment with the universe. The reason is because if in the Hermetic belief is God is one, though just one.
All
Oneness, the whole oneness, everything of the whole universe is God.
Yes.
Perfect
all that
oneness.
Is. Yes.
It's
Source,
undifferentiated,
the one true energy.
overflowing oneness.
Yes.
But there's one fatal flaw with being completely undifferentiated. It can't know about itself.
True.
So God
correct.
is undifferentiated perfection in its
had
wholeness.
to break itself
but
off.
that means that God has no distinction by which God can know that God is God.
So it had to break itself off into multiple
That's
parts,
the
which is
problem.
why we all have
So
the spark
in
of
this,
God.
there's a whole mythology. I'm not going to get into it in this podcast, but in this problem, in trying to solve this problem, God ends up thinking, because this is what God does. So first there is a thought, and in the thought immediately.
God didn't end up thinking. God ended up creating. The creator. God created.
The mind of God is slightly different from God, although only an illusion, only an appearance. And that splits into the logos and to Sophia, the male and female aspects of logic and wisdom. And through the process of this differentiation, they end up creating a world. The mundane world is created sort of as a dream of God or as a part of God. It's not separate from God, but it appears. It's an illusion of separateness and differentness and mundane versus divine.
God created multiple aspects of itself by which to know itself.
becomes a distinction so that God now has an opposite. From the idea in Hermeticism is actually that the opposites, this is in Hegel as well, is that the opposite, the antithesis, arises from within the thesis. You think about the original thing and suddenly
you create the opposite of the thing because it is a contrast to the original thing, and that opposite allows you to know each thing better. If you have never had a cold shower in your life, then you cannot understand how amazing a hot shower is. If you've only ever had hot showers, you might like hot showers, they might be fine, but you really appreciate a hot shower on a whole new level once you've had to take a cold shower because your water heater broke in the middle of the night. That's what we're talking about. God had to create contrast in order to know itself better.
opposite appears. So God is perfect, whole divinity, and the mundane world arises out of that as its natural opposite. How could you know what divine is if you don't have the mundane to compare it to?
True.
So a binary of divine and mundane with one superior and one subordinate comes into existence.
It's not really a binary, though. It's not really a binary. James is going to like this. You don't just have hot and cold. You have warm. You have lukewarm. You have, I don't know, what's another word for like kind of cold, but not really cold, not ice cold? Like, it's a spectrum of things. It's not just that there are two things. It's not just that there are hot and cold. There's a whole spectrum between hot and cold that allow you to have a better understanding of what the whole thing is. Tepid. Exactly.
By the mere question of what does it mean to be divine. So if God were to ask merely the question, what am I? Immediately, his perfect undifferentiated oneness says, well, I'm something that's undifferentiated, but how can I understand undifferentiation without differentiation?
True.
And something that's not God, in other words, fallen and dead versus divine and alive, comes into existence. And that's the creation of the world in Hermeticism. Okay, so
it's not Hermeticism,
God,
but okay.
by his very nature of being a perfect creator, creates a world that seems, a mundane world that seems to be God's opposite, which is divine. And what has to happen is for God to become whole again, he has to have a means by which he can see that this distinction is an illusion. So seeing through this apparent distinction is what
God knows the distinction is an illusion. God knows everything. Everything comes from God. God is specifically creating the distinction to understand itself. God is not confused about the situation.
What actually brings God back together into full wholeness, but now wholeness where God knows that he's God, as opposed to wholeness where God doesn't yet know that he's God. See, it's like Mao said, it's the desire for unity, then criticism that leads to unity on a new standard. It's exactly the same formula. It's the Hermetic formula. When Mao laid out criticism, unity, criticism, as we talked about in the podcast detailing those ideas, or in the longer podcast about
Roslyn! Thank you for the super chat, Roslyn. I appreciate you. I hope everything is well in Adelaide. Hi, Carlin. The stream is very revealing. Hope you are enjoying your drinks. I am. Cheers to you, Roslyn. Thank you for the wonderful and generous super chat. Guys, I am still taking money in super chats. They seem to be working now. So if you want to send me some money to drink on the internet and debunk all of James's bullshit, you know, I think I deserve some props if I'm honest about it. I don't think I get enough credit for being able to debunk James's bullshit on the fly from multiple perspectives. It's like, I understand spirituality better than James, and I understand communism better than James. I've got James by both fucking ends. While drinking on the internet. Where else do you get this sort of thing? Can anyone else do this on the internet? And Westcott says, I also understand Christianity 1,000% better than James, which is probably true if we're honest about it. I'm just saying, I feel like I don't get enough credit.
About this cultural revolution we're in, That formula is the Hermetic formula, undifferentiated, to critiquing
Yeah.
the falseness of the differentiation
James
that
needs to debate me
appears as a
already.
result of contemplating it,
I'll even drink.
resulting in a new...
Here is my updated challenge to James. I will drink as many as 3 beers prior to debating James. I may even be convinced to drink 4. I will literally debate James while drunk. And James can be sober. And I will still kick James's ass when I am drunk. Yeah, I know. Maggie Smith died. You know what's funny? Well, not funny, but like the guy who played Dumbledore died exactly 1 year ago. Maggie Smith died 1 year to the day after the guy that played Dumbledore. Rest in peace, Maggie Smith. She was glorious. She was everything. In Downton Abbey, she was the best role in Downton Abbey by far. Of the Dowager. What was she? The Dowager Countess. She was everything in Downton Abbey. I love Downton Abbey. Best show ever.
higher level of understanding, which is undifferentiated completeness that knows it's
I could definitely beat
undifferentiated
James
and
High.
complete.
Absolutely.
See, and what man is within the Hermetic belief system is the character that can think. It is actually the mind of God trapped in a mundane form. And so as a shard of the mind of God, you have the capacity to do what minds do, which is to think, which is to see through the distinctions. And so when man realizes that the distinctions are all an illusion and all is actually one, including all men are actually one, so there's an inherent kind of total collectivism here that often typically would come into play.
I can't even say
of monism, if you will,
She
kind of
was
the Hindu
in-
idea that all is avatar.
What was she in Clash of the Titans? I love Clash of the Titans. What role did she play in Clash of the Titans? I was just thinking about Clash of the Titans the other day. Like, I kind of want to watch. I always want to like the remakes of Clash of the Titans more than I do. Like, the original Clash of the Titans was just. Did she play the mother of the princess? Is that what she played? No. She played one of the goddesses. No. I got it now. She played one of the goddesses. Yes. She played one of the goddesses. She was the one that cursed the princess to be killed by the Kraken. Okay, I've got it. Yeah, the original Clash of the Titans was the best. But I really wanted to like the remakes. Like the first one and the second one, like I really wanted to like them. And I feel like I should have liked them more than I did. And I always give them like a second chance every now and again. Man.
Avatars of the oneness. It's called monism. When that finally is realized in the mind of man clearly, and I mean all men have the same mind and they understand this, then God realizes it too. When man understands something because now it's understood, God must understand it because man is part of God and not in fact different from God. So man is the being that has the unique special being in the universe that has the capacity to do the thing that God can't do for himself, which is to understand the true wholeness of God's being. And when that happens,
That's not
we
what
reach
this
utopia.
means, James.
Because everything folds back into the perfect undifferentiated
That's
oneness that is
literally
now
not what this
self-aware
means. No.
as perfect undifferentiated oneness. This is the basis for transformation, alchemy, humanization, these words we hear from Marxism.
No.
But the way that it actually works is
This is
destructive.
all made up.
It's alchemical. It is the destruction of the mundane form of what is, so that you can liberate the divine within it and gather together its true nature to recollect the pieces. That's spooky, but that's what the dissolution, the acid, the deconstruction of queer theory is actually doing, is it's breaking apart the nasty, mundane forms of sex and sexuality so that everything becomes limited and we have that Eros potential to build the perfect city that Marcuse was talking about. So you're going to destroy that which is mundane, which is an illusion anyway, so there's nothing lost, to release the divine within it so that it can remember that it's part of the divine and fold back into the divine. And when all of that's done, when all the distinctions are erased, all that's left is the divine. There is no mundane, and we're all one undifferentiated mass of
That's
holy
not what that
perfection
means,
again.
James.
That's the Hermetic religion in a nutshell. It's based on a bunch of magical
James,
principles that do this. There are, in fact,
James. They are not insinuating that we all need to become one as when we are in human form. When we die, our soul will return to the collective. When we die, because we are spiritual beings having a human experience, our soul will return to the collective where we have access to the collective consciousness on a much more visceral level. Because we are no longer hampered by our human bodies. It does not mean that we all must become non-binary as human beings in order to assimilate to the collective, because you cannot fundamentally assimilate while you are in human form, because we are spiritual beings having a human experience with a human body. It doesn't work like that. James fundamentally does not understand any of what he's talking about. Yeah. Remember, guys, he is teaching millions of people this bullshit. He is lifted up by all of conservative media. This is what they're learning. This is why they all think that this is Gnostic. Man. We're an hour into this. He still goes on for another 2.5 hours.
7. I'll do a podcast on these at some point. I'll mention a few of them. One of them is the principle of mind, or the mental principle, which sounds very much like The Secret and all of this new age bullshit, which is all ripped off from this. And it's that everything is mental. Everything is mind. All your distinctions are an illusion. Everything is down to its appearances. In fact, everything is phenomenal. Our experience of the world is a phenomenology. Just like Hegel said.
That's not what phenomenology means.
Reality is actually not necessarily.
Phenomenology is literally about understanding a phenomenon. That's what phenomenology is. Phenomenology is a qualitative form of research. I've done qualitative research. James has not done qualitative research. Phenomenology is a form of qualitative research by which you are understanding a specific phenomenon, James.
Real. Maybe it is and maybe it's not, but really what we think of as a reality is what we perceive. It's what we live. It's our lived experience. And it turns out that our perception is malleable. We can be conditioned to see the world differently. We could say join a cult, at which point we would see the world through cult classes. And then to make other people join the cult, we could tell everybody, if you don't join the cult, you're actually in a cult because you don't see the world through our glasses. And if you get enough people in the cult, everybody outside the cult will start to feel crazy because they're not seeing through the cult glasses that so many other people see through. See how this actually works? And so the all is mind, all is mental. Another one, a very important rule or law or principle in Hermeticism is the principle of correspondence. The phrasing for that sounds very satanic to people who are familiar with these things. Duh. As above, so below. As below, so above. That's the full expression of the principle of correspondence. As above, so below. As in heaven, so on earth. As in heaven, as on earth, so in heaven. It goes both ways. As above, so below. As below, so above. This is actually the articulation of most of how they do their magic. And I've talked about that recently in the past.
Their magic.
In Phoenix. Those talks are available. You can find them. I will detail it a little bit more as we go. There are a few others. There's a principle of polarity, the principle of vibration.
Yeah.
So everything exists in polar opposites, but polar opposites are an illusion. That's the principle of polarity. Principle of vibration, everything vibrates. And if you bring vibrations into alignment with one another, blah, blah, blah happens.
True.
And then there's a couple more. And then there's a principle of gender, ironically enough. And I say ironically, we're going to bracket it and not talk about the principle of gender here because it actually says everything's broken into its male and female forms. But if we go back to the idea of the other principle of polarity, that poles are illusions, that distinctions are fake, then that means that those have to be somehow recombined. And the way that happens is that we realize all is mind and all is mental. Now, by the way, a tangential point of the totalitarian nature of these hermetic cults follows from mixing together the principle of polarity and the principle of mind. If all is mind, and if all distinctions are illusions, all opposites are parts of the same whole, is the other way that that's phrased. What does that mean? means all minds are actually the same. So any distinction
Yeah,
between minds
true.
is a illusion. It is a product of our fallen state.
James
So
may have
our holy
conducted
state,
research about
our,
math. We've
our redeemed
conducted
state is
research
when
on other
everybody has the
things.
same mind. Everybody thinks the same thing. But the only way you can get to that is
I am a trained qualitative researcher. I know how to analyze qualitative systems and qualitative data. I promise you, James, as a math PhD, has never analyzed qualitative data in his life. Analyzing qualitative data is a really specific skill set. It's so specific that the vast majority of people don't even approach qualitative research because it's so fucking difficult to do. But I like qualitative research because I'm naturally really good at it. James has no idea what he's fucking talking about.
through complete ideological totalism. In other words,
Sin!
totalitarianism.
We
And
love
that's
you,
why it
Sin.
always
We're
goes
sending
there.
you positive
This is
energy.
the mystery of the 20th century's catastrophe solved, folks. It's that simple. But we're talking about queer theory, so we're not going to do that. So one of your goals is to use these seven magical principles to move yourself through different levels of self-knowledge or gnosis. Salvific self-knowledge. The goal is to move through those so that you can remove your false distinctions from God. And so it turns out that Hermeticism is based on a lot of triangles, trinities, as a matter of fact, threes. So you have the thing, you have its opposite, and you have the thing that makes the thing and its opposite the same. That's a trinity, 1, 2, 3, right? And so there are lots of them. So in Christianity, we're familiar with a trinity, and the big mystery is 3 is 1, but it's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, or God, Christ, and the Holy Ghost. We're familiar with this, right? And they're
All
different
right.
manifestations of what's called the Godhead.
I think I'm about done for today. I think I'm done. I'm thinking I want to go do some Twitter spaces. I think I want to talk to some people, and I think I want to relax because it's Friday. We've been streaming for 3 hours. We kind of had a fuck off Friday stream because I was just not having it anymore. We are going to be doing Socialism Saturday tomorrow at 6 p.m. I would like everyone to send our wonderful, amazing friend Sin positive energy and healing energy because Sin is the best and we love her, and her immune system is having a hard time bouncing back from her transplant, and so that's why she hasn't been around lately. So we are sending positive healing energy to Sin. If you pray for Sin, that's awesome. Like prayers, positivity, healing, all that stuff. We love you, Sin, and I want everyone to do that. Yes, we were talking about this earlier. James is a flat earther. Exactly. All right, guys, I'm about done for today. I hope you guys all enjoyed our Fuck Around Friday stream. I will be back tomorrow for Socialism Saturday. I still don't know what I'm going to do about this streaming problem. I really don't. I really don't. And so if you have any feedback, let me know. I'm not going to make any drastic decisions, just so people know. I'm not just going to up and quit or anything, but like, I'm bothered by this streaming problem, and I don't know how to fix it. And I'm going to allow the universe to make the answer become clear. Okay? But we are still going to do Socialism Saturday tomorrow. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for hanging out. I will catch you guys on the other side. See you soon. Bye.